Not catching.
I like it.
So do they.
Catching is a whole nother thing. It involves a ball and a mitt.
Yeah, absolutely. Or a football or something. Javelin. Oh no, that's not it.
Catching a javelin, that's not a good thing.
Not good.
Playing catch on the rifle range, not a good thing either.
Okay, we'll call this meeting of April 7th, 2011 to order. Let the time show that it's 4:36. And let the record show that Selectman Dawson is not present.
Lucky duck.
I know. I know. She might be having a few, I hope.
Well, she didn't leave till 2:30.
Probably she's in the air now, probably screaming or clutching the arms of the seat.
Or having a few.
We're having a few, right?
Okay.
Girl's got to do what a girl's got to do.
Yep.
All right, we will go a little bit out of order because we have a guest. So, sure, come on up.
Come on up and have
You can
Mike,
actually
come on
sit
up and
there
sit here,
at this
whatever.
microphone.
Right.
Well, thank you. Introduce myself. I'm Susan Chertakis from Senator Ayotte office. My information is on the back. And this one, I'm not here. I have two cards. One for
thank you.
and for her. And my information is on the back. I'm special assistant to the senator here in the state. My office is currently located in Manchester, and I handle the portfolios of Commerce, Treasury, and HUD. And I am also outreach, part of the outreach team. And two of my counties, Carroll and Belknap. And I have the pleasure of introducing our office and making our office available to you and the town. And it's just an opportunity to put a name and face and open a dialogue. If there is anything that we can do for you, with you, we look forward to that opportunity. And we hope that you feel ready and able and comfortable to call us if we can, in fact, do that. Also would like to offer the opportunity of having office hours for the people of Tilton. If that is something that would interest you, I'm thrilled to be able to come out and provide that service. That way they don't have to travel to Manchester. And soon, we anticipate, probably by the end of May, we'll be announcing where our other offices will be in the state. We're not in a position to announce that just yet, but again, we anticipate that no later than April 30th.
Well, I, for one, would think that would be a great idea for Senator Ayotte to have a representative here.
Great. But, yeah, I stand by, ready to hear some suggestions from you folks as to what day would be best. If you would like me to hold them in conjunction with your selectmen meeting, I can come in and perhaps hold office hours downstairs.
Well, I was going to say, Catherine, do we have the schedule for the others that come in? Or do we have a regular schedule?
Thursday.
They are here on Thursday, so maybe another day would be better for the...
Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. And is there a particular time that is best?
The only day, recycling and chat are the only daytime committees, and Tuesdays.
I thought they were
Tuesday. Tuesday, yes.
So Tuesdays in the morning are usually...
11, yeah.
Tuesday is a good day. Now, how about non-traditional business hours? Is there a day during the week that you're
Well,
going later?
the best, it would be Thursday,
would
because
be Thursday.
we're meeting here. Thing is, I don't see where it would interfere too much because they don't come every Thursday, do they? Oh, talking about Dennis Fields, Bill Tobin?
Not every Thursday, no, but
really like to know. I could give them a call.
Yeah, because they are our local representatives to the state legislature, then they have set up hours as well on a Thursday. They come at like 4:30 to 5:30.
One will come one week and the other will come the other week, so there's still a couple weeks
How
open.
often would you
Last
want to
week,
do
didn't
this?
we
Once a
have a
month, twice a
representative
month?
from
Every
Gas?
month?
I'm really at your call. It's if you find it would be beneficial once every other week, once a week, once a month, you know, I think the direction and input from you folks would be,
The very fact that Senator Ayotte cares is a wonderful thing. Once a month, I mean, how often is people going to come around for that? You know, I don't know, but
Yeah, I mean, there could be one time when you'd be inundated, another time you'd be able to bring your knitting or something.
yeah, no doubt. But, you know, I think what has worked for me going so far from, and this initiative we started about a month ago, is if we have one day that's consistent, because as you plan out, and if something happens during the month, well, I can head down to the town hall and know that particular office rep will be there, and that's helpful.
Yeah.
So, you know, because it's stressful enough, usually, if they're coming before us. they need
Because
assistance.
that's also the kind of thing that we would also put on our website, to say that a representative for U.S. Senator Kelly Ayotte is in the office from, you know, on this day from this hour to that hour. And to be perfectly honest with you, probably the late afternoon on a Thursday would be better for people who are working, that they could come in and
Right, and that's something.
speak to somebody, you know.
To those that are working. It's so difficult when, today, we don't want to put people's positions in jeopardy.
The off hours are, you know, if it were an evening, one night a month as well, we have committees that meet in the evenings, and if one's downstairs, sometimes there's one downstairs and one upstairs, but we could work around that. We know the schedule, or Catherine knows the schedule. Catherine is our selectman's assistant, so.
We actually met coming upstairs.
Yes.
Well,
And I guess really, what is convenient for you? I mean, you're building your schedule, you may already have other days set for other communities.
actually, the best days for me right now, if I can plan out next month, Thursdays and Fridays.
Well, I mean, Thursday's the only day,
I'm pretty excited
yeah,
about.
Thursday's the only day that we're open later.
Okay.
You know, otherwise we close at 4:15.
And also that the town clerk, tax collector is open till 5:30, which is later, so a lot of people are used to coming in as well for that.
Right.
So if you're here during those times, we're upstairs, we'd be in at 4:30, that would be in conjunction with that, too. That would be great.
6 on Thursdays.
Sure.
Yeah.
Catherine, I can wait, may I hear back from you as, so we can honor? Oh, great, okay.
Now,
4 to 6.
before you leave,
Oh, not going anywhere.
we want to hear about the couple of bills and what her position is on a couple of the bills that are out there now,
Such as?
such as the,
There's legislation, I guess, a movement down with the Tea Party down in Washington to end up reversing Roe v. Wade. Yeah.
Do you know the bill number? Is it
No.
HR 1?
No, I don't know the bill number. I was just having a conversation.
used to be
with
HR 1,
somebody.
right?
Okay.
Yeah, and really interested in knowing what Kelly is doing for that. I'd hate for us to go backwards in time. That's my opinion.
Right. And then there's the taxation. Didn't you just go before the Senate hearing on the property taxes the other day when you went down for,
No, that's the state. This is U.S.
okay. It's U.S.
Yeah, we're working
federal.
on some bills at the
That's
state
right.
level.
You're right.
Right.
Yeah. There's also
The Roe versus Wade, right.
Roe versus Wade is really interests me because, and a number of other people that I've talked to, and I know that our Ginta is sponsoring the bill that's up now.
Okay, so,
Or, yeah.
how would you like
Planned
the
Parenthood. I think it's starting with Planned Parenthood. Yes,
funding
funding,
He's-
challenge on that?
yeah.
Okay.
He's sponsoring.
He's sponsoring it, yes.
Now, in
Maybe
this-
we can get more information on that.
Yep.
Yeah, and she knows exactly what I'm talking about.
I believe it's HR 1.
Yes,
I can get what the senator's position is.
yes.
Questions on legislation, I usually reach back to my counterpart in DC. May I get an official notice back to the board, or would you like me to get it to you individually?
Oh, you get it to the
No,
board.
the board's
and-
fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll just pass it to Cindy.
Yeah.
Cindy is our
I'm
tax,
sorry, I sound like
tax,
collector.
right.
Okay. We're Board of Selectmen. At Tilton, NH.org. And we'll all get a copy.
We have individual cards, but I don't know if you want to be inundated with 5 different cards.
And then
Who does your card?
Staples?
I'll have to go over there.
You'll get some.
Catherine, did you order him cards?
I have it on my desk.
No dot in between.
Oh,
Note on my desk.
TiltonNewHampshire.org.
Yeah, got it.
Okay.
You wanted to say.
Get some over there in your drawer.
One word.
I got some in here.
Board of Selectmen at tiltonnh.org.
There, I
And those
forgot
are
I-
our cards, individual ones.
Perfect. Yay, thank you. Okay, and what I can do,
And Joe is brand new, so his cards are ordered.
okay, what I can do is I'll mail you also back all my contact information.
Yeah, I don't answer the
Cell phone, we go 24/7, so if there is an issue that you need an answer for during the weekend or off hours, please don't hesitate. Reach out to me, let me know, and I'll get things moving for you.
Okay, great.
So, happy to do anything we can.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
We appreciate the opportunity. We worked hard to be here.
Yeah.
And we understand it's a privilege, so
Yeah.
anything we
Here for the
do,
people.
we are,
Yeah.
very much so.
We have something here in New Hampshire, I don't know if you're familiar with it, you must have heard of it, it's called Northern Pass. Northern Pass, I understand that ultimately it's going to have to be permitted out of Washington. And everyone, it doesn't affect me personally, specifically, but everybody that I've talked to is really anti-Northern Pass, and there's a lot of arguments, solid arguments as far as I can see, against allowing them to build these large towers through, 40 miles of pristine New Hampshire forests. And I was wondering if the senator had a position.
Actually, during the scoping process, we're truly in a listen, take everything in, and allowing the process to be on.
If they represent the people of the state of New Hampshire, they won't vote for it. If it's about PSNH and Hydro-Quebec, then, yeah, I can see where they would, but I don't think it's good for the people. I sit on the Lakes Region Planning Commission, and I talked with the Hydro-Quebec people and the PSNH people, and that was my statement. I can understand why it's good for you guys, but why is it good for us? Oh, well, it'll bring clean energy, and it's like, not to the people in New Hampshire, it'll bring towers and high power lines. I said, bury it. Why don't you bury it? Oh, well, that would increase the amount of money.
Has the town held a scoping meeting or an opportunity for the
It
town?
won't run through here.
It's
No,
not
it's not
affecting
running through here.
Tilton per se.
Franklin.
Yes. They had a very well-attended scoping.
I'm sure it was, because they intend to build a $20 million transformer down there, and that provides construction jobs. And, there's a lot of economic benefits, at least in the short term, and $15 or $20 million to the state of New Hampshire in taxes, which can't be discounted, but I don't think we can do it just because of money.
Right.
Now, is there a collective opinion from the Board of Selectmen?
We have not discussed it, because it doesn't, that's just my own personal feeling. And Senator Ayotte, it's my senator, so.
You bet.
I can't speak for anyone else sitting here.
Well, there is a gentleman in our office in the future, if you have questions, I'm happy to take those questions. But we have a point person for that.
Really?
Thompson.
And what,
Simon,
Simon Thompson, just the way it sounds, right?
no P. See,
Okay.
there's that little thing. He is truly, he literally has been working since day one on this.
Okay,
He's
great.
our environmental specialist. So
Outstanding. I'll be speaking with
he's a
Mr.
terrific
Thompson.
guy. He'll shoot you straight. If you have any questions or concerns, I would refer you to him. He
Okay.
is knowledgeable.
I'll give him a call.
Yeah. And the main number would work for him. The
Okay.
622,
7979?
perfect one.
Yeah.
Opportunities in which I can be of assistance.
That's great. It's wonderful. Do you have anything else?
More right this second.
Okay.
I guess I have a question. What else is coming down the pipe that would have direct effect on the people of New Hampshire?
Right now, in my areas, I work with Commerce, Treasury, and HUD. The immediate challenge we're finding is grant funding is drying up. So right now, we've been really going above and beyond, trying to find for fire, police, first responders, opportunities for funding for either new equipment or facility improvement, energy audits. We understand that's a real need, an investment for the communities, and as well as small businesses that have been working on programs for technology, innovation, green projects. While there's funding that's already in the pipeline, future funding is in jeopardy. And we're trying like crazy to get those secured and make sure that our small businesses stay strong.
Now, the other bitter pill to swallow is the cost of energy.
Yes. Yes.
Are we going to be stuck with $4 per gallon gas prices and $4 and $5 per gallon home heating prices?
Well, I appreciate that question. In fact, that there isn't anybody who isn't impacted.
Oh, I know that.
That higher, higher.
But, we have a lot of our seniors that are trying to stay in their own homes and make ends meet are really feeling the pinch. And
Assistant programs.
right, but what I was going to say, in the end, if they cannot heat their homes, we have to make sure that these people are cared for. They will come to us at the town level,
Yeah.
and we end up helping them out, which is not a bad thing, but it puts more stress on the taxpayers as well.
Oh, no question about it. We work again with both public and private programs to help those that are in desperate need, truly where the energy is being shut off today. We've worked along with state services such as 211. We've worked with nonprofits that have stepped up and made themselves available to us. So if you do come across a need like that, please don't hesitate. Give me a ring. I'm more than happy to assist you with that. But we do have programs in place to help those in greatest need.
Yeah, maybe we could tell our welfare director that they can, if she's looking for resources, that she could call your office.
Very much so. We work, folks that work directly with that type of need, they're referred to as caseworkers in our office. They work literally hand in hand with these organizations. They have a tremendous knowledge base of where they can reach back, and quite frankly, they're pretty crafty. They can really think outside the norm and get creative with these solutions, especially for folks that unfortunately may have waited to the last minute and they're really in desperate need. Those are the caseworkers are amazing.
Part of the problem that I see, especially with some of our seniors, is they're too proud to ask for help, and they'll sit in their home with 2 or 3 coats on, and God forbid they're eating cat food cold out of the can or something, and that's really painting a bleak picture, and it's probably not to that extreme. But I would hate to see it get that far where they have to decide whether they're going to be warm, or they're going to eat, or they're going to get medication.
Well, as you may or may not be aware, and it's an honor to be able to share this with you, but the senator is actually on the Aging Committee. She is on that. So
Oh, that's
she's
good.
exceptionally sensitive to those particular issues, and we take that to heart in our office. These are folks that are our grandparents, our parents, and our neighbors, and we take this very personally in our office. So, again, we have solid relationships with both public and private entities, and if you have anybody that presents themselves, please let me know. In the next meeting, what I can do is bring you a list of those agencies.
Well, that would be nice.
So you'll have that
Yeah.
on hand.
Yeah.
Can give that to our human resources.
I can put together a list of resources that we're working with, and that way, if you come across, if anybody calls you during the week, non-traditional hours, you'll have that resource at hand. And again, you're always free to call me if that comes up too. So I hope that's some assurance.
It is, it helps.
It's a start for us, where we're just getting started January 3rd.
Yeah, it's still in the...
As you know, Senator Ayotte has a deep history here. Born and raised in Nashville, she has a lot of friends, and a lot of folks do appreciate her commitment.
You do realize that to us, born and raised in Tilton, Nashua is flatland.
It's northern Massachusetts,
Yes, I do know.
Okay.
down in the lowlands.
Well,
I do have one, yeah, I do have one other thing that I would like to ask, is what is Senator's public, the word, Norm, how does she feel about the potential shutdown of the government?
well, she does not support that. She has been on record repeatedly that perhaps the number one job of our Congress is to provide a budget, a balanced budget. And she has signed on to a balanced budget amendment. She was actually slated to come back home this evening. She is staying in D.C. till this gets done.
Good.
That is an absolute commitment of our senator.
I heard Senator Reid this afternoon talk about long-term budget solutions that'll take us all the way to September. That's his long-term, and he said it with a straight face.
It's a challenge.
Oh, I'm sure. I can't even imagine.
But it's one of our senator truly does believe this is one of the primary reasons why they're sent to D.C., is to deliver a balanced budget. Our towns and our states have to run on a balanced budget. Our federal government should have to run on a balanced budget as well.
Now, I have a concern with the senator and her judgment. She was the one that said that they could tear up the JUA fund, which she seemed to be the only one who thought that was the right way to go. And subsequently, they wouldn't allow it, and now they've passed a law in the state that the government of New Hampshire can't touch that fund and so forth. But she said that she thought that was perfectly okay.
And that's when she was Attorney General.
That is when she was Attorney General. I've been watching her, and I voted for her, quite frankly. But I do have that as a concern. So I'm really glad to be able to have an outlet to I would love her to be sitting in that chair, so that you didn't have to go, I don't know.
That's why I'm here.
Do you see any more future funding for our seniors coming down, particularly for additional funding for centers and transportation and busing and...
I don't know that at this point with the budget discussions. I'm happy to get that information.
Seems like they're taking it away rather than giving it, particularly the American Elders Act.
On the back. So, to provide you real numbers, if I may get back with you tomorrow on that.
That would be great. I know the first place the state is cutting is mental health and elderly, and I'm hoping the federal government sees that in a little different light, particularly with most of the senators a little bit upwards in age.
How to get that.
We specifically have a program in this state called Partners in Health that works with families that have chronically ill children, and the federal government puts up the big chunk of money for that, but the state has opted not to put up their matching funds, so the program will cease to exist at the end of this fiscal. Unfortunately, my
Right.
wife's job goes with it.
And that goes back to my point of where we're seeing a lot of the matching grants, the grants just dry up. And
Right.
That's really
That's what's
presenting
happening, and you're not getting the funding.
challenge.
The states can't match. Nobody's got any money.
I think that, we have an unbelievable committee that helps out here, in our senior committee here in Tilton. It's made up of 20 or 21 people, and they utilize with rides and prescriptions and doctor's appointments, but we're finding it to be utilized more and more and more because our local agencies are not being funded. And so our committees locally are trying to pick up the slack to work with them.
Okay.
But in turn, one of the issues that we have is that our busing in town, there are two means of busing for our seniors. One is a general busing that comes through at regular times, and then there's another one that's funded by American Elders Act. And because it's funded by the American Elders Act, anyone disabled, young disabled, cannot get on the bus. So we have a young blind with a seeing eye dog that regularly would love to get on that bus and go to dialysis 3 times a week, but can't ride it because it's not funded. It's funded by the American Elders Act, and that's only for seniors, and she's not a senior. So we have a real, it's very difficult. So our committee's picking up the slack and taking her to dialysis 3 times a week. So now they're cutting out the funding, I understand. I'm going to a meeting on the 20th on that, but they're cutting out from way up in the federal level funding for a lot of these matching grants, which are coming down to the state level transportation, which is now cutting out county level and state level funding for these bus transportations, and that's what's affecting our seniors. They would have a certain route that they would go on and get their groceries and their doctor's appointments and any testing that needs to be done. Now, they've cut that in half last year because of lack of funding. And for a senior that's 85, 86 years old that gets on the bus route now, has to make a special request to stop at the hospital for blood work, and it's 3.5 hours before that person is picked up again. And usually it used to be a couple hours, and the route would come around again, and they'd stop at the grocery store and the Walmart and whatever.
Now it's taking upwards of 5 hours
Now
just to
it's-
go to the doctor and pick up a few groceries.
And you have to make a special request now because the hospital's not a regular stop because of funding. And nothing more but funding. And the the Community Action runs that. They get some funding from the states, very little funding from the Community Action, but a lot of funding from federal, from that level.
So there's a pass-through from the Fed to the
Right.
state. to this.
Just so it's Belknap, Merrimack
And they've been told.
Community Action Program.
Right, so the state's already been told that in, a year or 2 years at the very most, that will dry up. So where do we get the funding from the buses?
I'll look into that.
That'd be great.
I'd be happy to. Okay, so I have walk-in orders here.
We're not little quiet people here.
You asked, we told.
And if I'd have known you were coming, I'd have had a list.
I'd have baked a cake for you, too.
Well, you're missing our keynote speaker here, Catherine, and she's...
Oh, golly, yes.
She'll have a list.
Good. We like the list. This is good.
Well, that'll give you plenty of things to do.
Okay, so I have, just to sum this up to make sure I hadn't missed anything.
Yeah,
Find out position on HR1,
right.
find out about the JUA fund.
Well, just mention it to her. There's nothing to find out, really.
Okay.
You want to know what
Find out
position
about-
she's on, or you already know?
Oh, she said that they could tap into $110 million or so. That turns out she was wrong.
Oh,
So I
okay.
have questions with regard to her judgment.
Oh,
She was
okay.
the Attorney General of the state of New Hampshire when she made
Did
that
that, right,
decision.
okay,
So I'm like leery, that's all.
okay.
I wish her the best, God knows.
Well, I've noted that.
All right.
And then Northern Pass,
Uh-huh.
we'd like more information about that.
Right.
Her position, yeah.
And then budgeting with regards to the elder community.
Correct.
And then grant funding also with regards to the elder community.
And their transportation.
Elderly/disabled.
Yeah.
Because we do have a significant amount of disabled people here that are not elderly.
Anything else that I may have missed?
That's a good start.
That's enough
Yeah.
for now.
And all of this information I will email, and I have the emails.
Thank you.
Okay.
If you use the Board of Selectmen, it will come to all of us, right?
It's a group mailbox
And
for the selectmen.
TCTC, Cindy,
Is that, right,
NewHampshire.org,
right.
and that's regarding HR1.
I'd like to see everything.
Okay. Okay, I'll put you in the group. Thank you. Group email.
And would you please extend to the senator my thank yous for being concerned enough to do this?
Yes.
Absolutely.
And it's mutual. We're thrilled to be here.
Well, we look forward to it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks.
And she's not even running for re-election yet,
We have to give it to you.
It's,
the senator.
Kelly
She's still got like 4 years before that
She
happens.
got 5+ years.
that.
She only just started.
All right, that's what we like to say about at least our day one, when we do on the election. Everything came out. So this is a thrill for us to be here.
That's great.
Well, thank you all for your generous time. I do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you
Very
for
much.
Thank
coming
you.
by.
Appreciate it. Very nice to meet
Make your
you.
acquaintance.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Susan.
Very much. I appreciate it. Good to meet you.
Yes, absolutely.
We'll talk tomorrow.
This other
Do you have-
person is Joyce, our town administrator.
Doing very well, thank you.
But you have, Joyce, you have one of your cards, so she has your email, so she can include your email on that, in your correspondence?
Oh, it's in my file? No, I can get it, I've got it online.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Well, we'll forward it anyway, make sure
Yeah.
that she's in the loop, so.
Right.
That'd be good.
Have a lovely evening.
Okay,
Yeah,
you
you
too.
too. Thank you
too.
very much.
Pat, can I say something? I just want to mention, I see you have it up on top.
Yep.
We went down to the state for SB, was it HB?
HB
HB
457.
457.
And it was a really good committee hearing. We left there feeling really good about it. And with the email that I gave you copies of, they voted unanimously to kill the bill.
Good.
But
It's got to go to the full Senate. We need to call our senators, write our senators, and go down there for the next one, because it's so important to the town.
Sure.
It really is. 457, 156, SB 156, motor vehicle will be heard, what's it, on the 16th? Was that the 16th?
This one is,
We don't have it here.
it's in your folder.
Is it on this paper? 1:30,
It doesn't really give a date.
it doesn't give a date.
This one, kill, Yeah, this one hasn't, yes, kill the bill. This one hasn't been rescheduled yet, but we have to get in touch with our senators.
Okay.
We have to.
Okay.
And then when they do schedule it for the Senate, we have to go down, okay? SB 156, which is the motor vehicle one, it was voted unanimously down at committee, but it passed the House. And why it passed the House is nobody spoke against it. Nobody knew it was coming up.
Wow.
So that's why it passed. Now it went back to committee again. It's going back to committee. So
But
that's on the 16th.
Didn't they wonder when the committee?
They didn't take it, yeah, you would think that they would have taken the opinion of the committee.
Right.
But that's on the 16th, I believe.
Okay.
I will be closing, it's at 2:45 on Tuesday.
So Cindy, if 156 allows the various auto dealerships to now enter into this type of transaction, they're going to have a whole other government oversight of this, aren't they?
Well, the major problem I see is that they're going to be collecting towns' money, which is also a tax. It's tax deductible, which puts their hands on our money, okay?
They're not tax collectors.
Exactly, or town clerk officials to be able to do that. Therefore, they're taking our monies. Also the fact that, how do you audit that?
Well, they'll have to have a whole other level of state oversight.
The town would have to pay for extra auditing because it's town monies.
Oh, well, that's bogus. That's just out and
Now,
out bogus.
You also have the fact that if they do register new vehicles, and say you bought a Camry, and there's an LE, an SE, an XE, an XG, XE.
And they're all different.
They're all different prices,
Yeah.
and they take the wrong one, the town fees are generated off the MSRP. So if they pick the wrong one, or they want, God forbid, I know they won't do this on purpose, they pick the
Yes.
lower model
Some may.
for less expensive registration fee, we're going to lose a lot of revenue. Now, also the people that, if they do take advantage of this, they're going to be charged a fee, a convenience fee through the automobile, okay? I think it's like $25, I don't think that's written in stone. But I don't want anybody, this is me, my stand on this is totally opposed.
Right.
Nobody should be collecting town monies other than a town elected official, tax collector, town clerk.
Tax collector.
Yeah, and that's the bottom line.
Wow.
It would cost us a lot of money. And there's a lot of dealerships that do not want it.
And
Why
this,
is it that all of a sudden they thought that was a good idea?
Well, they do it in Massachusetts, I believe, in Connecticut.
Yeah, well, there you go.
It's not running well, and I'm hoping that
Go
we can
figure.
get a representative out of the municipal association, maybe a president down from one of those two states to talk on it, maybe at the hearing. I'm also going to have Kim come down and testify as an F&I person, that she worked at dealerships for years and years doing that. So I'm actually going to be closing my office like 2:15 on that day. We're both going down to testify. I know Catherine Dawson's coming. I would love it if you all would come.
Let me know when it is.
Yep, it's on the 16th. Yep.
2:45.
The hearing,
2:45 on the 16th?
April. Yep. Is it? It's,
yeah.
I have it written on my calendar downstairs.
Well, you best better get the right information.
Say, let me know.
I'll let you know. I think did I put the other email here?
No, this is,
I would love to see our government in action.
what was it?
You know, I love to watch.
Well, wait a minute, there's another paper here.
I didn't get that.
No? Okay, maybe I didn't do it. Maybe I emailed it to you.
Yeah, it can't be on Saturday.
No, it's not. It's on a Tuesday.
They make it the 12th or the 19th.
19.
19?
Yep, 19.
2:45.
Yep.
I was going to say, you wouldn't have to close early on 16th.
It's Saturday. So, yeah, we're all going down. I think that especially selectmen, kind of, we had town manager at the last one. We had all kinds of people at the last hearing testifying. More the better.
Right.
You know, we have to get force. And if you all have a chance to call a senator,
Yep.
call.
Yeah, I've been emailing them.
Yeah. Senator Barnes at the committee said, and it was, good recommendation, that we should all, if we feel strong about something that's up, that we should contact our senators by phone. Follow up by emails, but talk to them on phones. Actually get a physical.
And our senator is Forrester? Forsythe?
Yeah. And he's
Place?
for the motor vehicle. Yeah.
He's for it.
Yeah.
Have you read some of the things that he is proposing?
Yes.
Myself
Where's he
personally, I'm
from?
not happy about him.
I was going to say, it makes you wonder why he got
That
elected.
doesn't stop us
Far
from
away from
calling the rest of the
There's only
senators
3
also.
guys in
Right.
Stratford. He must be one of
Okay.
those 3 guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cindy. Okay, the minutes.
Make a motion, we bring the minutes of March 24th to the floor for discussion
Second.
and approval.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I didn't think I saw any significance.
Any corrections, concerns?
The only one I really found, on page 8, next to the bottom paragraph where it starts out saying discussion, Selectman Dawson, it just says vehicle that is good on gas. You just need to put prosecutor together. It looks like pros cutter. Isn't it? It's like you got a little space in there.
For the prosecutor to use.
Yeah. I'm reading along, it's like, pros what?
And how cute are those pros?
Any more corrections, concerns, additions? All those in favor of the motion, the minutes as corrected?
Aye.
Aye. No public. Joyce, you ready for us, or do you want us to go on to something different?
we should maybe scribble back a bit so the sun
Yep.
changes it.
Right.
Couple
Well,
minutes.
Yeah, just come-
It was hitting me first.
yeah, when we first sat down, it's going that way. It's working its way over here. I'm ready. I got my glasses.
Okay.
The first item is on the Winnipesaukee River Trail. The contractor is going to be scheduling a walkthrough with the engineer in the town of Northfield, the Winnipesaukee River Trail, and as soon as I have the list of items, which I just received, but I'll forward this to all the selectmen, but as soon as I get a date and a time, right now they're working around the schedule of the engineer.
Right.
I'll notify everybody so that you can join us. Lieutenant Martin has presented 4 contracts with the New Hampshire Highway Safety Agency. So I need the board to authorize the chairman to sign these. I outlined it.
These are for the grants, click it a ticket, and
Read what they are.
one is for the Tilton sobriety checkpoints for $5,038.20. The other one is enforcement patrols, that's downtown, $6,157.80. Safe commute patrols, $2,100. And the DWI hunter patrols, $2,520, for a total of $15,816.
Could you explain what the last 2 are for? I'm not clear on.
Brian, why don't you come up? The last one, what is the Safe Commute Patrol grant?
The Safe Commute was a program started by Hampshire State Police. They have been receiving numerous complaints about the morning commutes, reckless driving, excessive speed, and such. So they started a program last summer, toward the end of the year, to do saturation patrols. And basically, they took almost everybody they had available, from lieutenants to sergeants to trooper first classes to all the troopers to all the highway enforcement, and put them out on patrol for, like, I believe it's 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. to do a heavy saturation patrol. To reduce, and the goal is to reduce traffic fatalities and, make the public and the driving safer. What New Hampshire Highway Safety did was come together and develop funding for that program to assist and supplement the state police with local officers as well, because we got involved in it a little bit too, because a lot of people are coming to the highway through our town. So we eventually applied for the funding.
Okay. Now, what about the hunter patrol?
Those are DWI patrols.
Just simple DWI?
Correct.
Not hunter is shooting a gun, but just hunting for DWI
Correct.
people? Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yeah, I
Okay.
was just wondering what they were for, not that I'm opposed to them, mind you. I mean, if it stops people from trying to drive to work while putting on their makeup, buttering their toast, reading the paper, getting out their texts, and checking their emails as they drive, I'm all for it.
Okay, these are grants that require the chairman to sign, so we need a motion that,
I'll make a motion to give you permission to sign for the board.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
I have 8 places to sign.
That was way too easy.
Will you sign those tonight, and that way I can run them through the machine and give them back to, because you have to submit these, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
This goes towards the "there's never a cop when you need one" problem. Well, you know, you sit there in traffic, and I'm sure you do it as a regular guy, not in the police car, and you go,
Oh, yes.
my goodness, there's never a cop around when you need one.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
But they can't be everywhere. I mean, I understand that.
Right.
I like when you have somebody go tearing by you, like, you know, way over the speed limit, and you get up the road about a mile and a half, and he's pulled over, and there's
Oh,
lights
yeah,
going.
you betcha. I got cut off one day on my motorcycle. Guy went screaming around me on Route 3 up in Belmont, just on the other side of, this side of the Belknap Mall. And, I mean, throwing rocks up at me and everything, and I flipped him off, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, there's never a cop when you need one, except for 2 cars behind me, there was a state trooper.
Yep.
And he went shooting by me, and as the guy was pulling over, I'm waving on the way by. Oh, I love that.
Sometimes there is just.
Yeah, there is,
Yes.
there is.
You're absolutely right. Sometimes it's just wonderful.
Now, it's not so bad being up here on the hot seat, is it?
It's not that hot.
Not at the moment.
But no, it's funny, Norm, because I asked him the same exact questions you did on that
Oh,
one.
really? Well, it's like, just hearing the title of it, really, it's like, now, what does that mean?
Hunter
What's it
Patrol.
for?
I'll give you copies for thinking.
Yeah, it's like, all of a sudden, are we doing fish and game work?
Hunter, yeah.
Go forth and arrest.
And fine heavily.
Are we involved with the arrests down in Franklin? Are we helping out?
It was 11?
We had some investigation into that. However, I don't believe we had any officers on at the time. and
At the time it was, yeah. But there's more to come, I hope.
I believe so.
Okay, I received a call back from Congressman Bass's office, and that he would like to meet with the board on May 19th, Thursday, from 4:30 to 5:30. I see that you're okay with that date. And about a week before, he asked that I just get in touch with him and let him know if there's any specific topics that, just so that the congressman can be prepared. And also, I would like to invite all of our board and committee members and our state reps and our local selectmen in District 2.
A week before that, would you send out a reminder to us and write down ideas, or 2 weeks before that, so that we're able to write down ideas for subjects?
Is it going to be him himself, or?
He is on a schedule, he has a meeting before ours and after ours, but we have him for an hour, so that's good. Okay. The bids for the Tilton Senior Center were mailed to, it's also on the website. It was
Yes, I
this-
saw it on the website.
Yeah, I used the same list that we had, with the
I
exception.
like that list.
I took this one off because I never heard either way from that individual.
Okay, yep.
Just remove them from the
Yep.
list.
Yep.
Everyone else I either heard from, oh, and this one I didn't hear from, but I left it on.
Yep.
Yep. Do we have any schedule for Wednesday, the walkthrough?
Have not heard them yet.
Nothing yet.
But we are scheduled for tomorrow morning.
At 8 a.m.,
At
right?
8 a.m.
Tomorrow morning, we're going to go through the walkthrough with Tom. So that when Joyce and I know exactly what we want to present when they go through the mandatory walkthrough, the contractors. So you're more than welcome to come along. You want to come along? too.
Yeah,
You
I'll
haven't
be
seen
there.
the grades, right?
Just up the street from my house.
And also, we followed up with the board's suggestion to contact Mr. Fitzgibbon for a heating system consultation. He said he wasn't able to do it, but he did refer me to another gentleman who called back and confirmed that they'll meet us there also. And from what I understand, is to look at the existing heating system, where we're proposing to put in the heating system in the kitchen, just to see if there's any way that, I mean, I don't even know,
Just
is the heating
extend it.
system in the main part, it is gas, right? Just to
Yeah.
see if we could tap off that, or just, in case there will be any.
Trying to make it more efficient, whether or not we can have one to cover all of it,
Right.
or need two,
Right.
one in the kitchen, one in the hallway to cover. Yep.
What he said he would do, he would take measurements to figure out the BTUs that are needed, and he'll look at the existing system that we have.
The existing system is going because it's way old.
Well, then we probably need a whole new system
Right.
anyway, so,
That's in the that's in the document, right?
Only for the kitchen area.
Okay. Okay.
but maybe we can get one unit that would
Kitchen area.
serve
That would
the
cover the
place.
whole thing.
Yeah,
And be more efficient than the one that's in
Right.
the hallway.
right.
Right.
We had received a request from the Tilton Northfield Fire District Commissioners that they were going to hold their monthly commissioners' meetings. They were going to do 3 months in Northfield and 3 months in Tilton. They had asked for the dates of July 20th, August 17th, and September 21st. I checked our dates here, and nothing is scheduled, as long as the Budget Committee isn't meeting every week in September, but we could ask them to meet downstairs. And then
Right.
subsequent to that, Kathy called me and said that it wasn't going to be possible for them to meet at the Northfield Town Hall. Could they therefore also continue to meet in Tilton for April, May, and June?
Well, I don't have any objections to a meeting here, just so that they know, and, I mean, we've been to several of their meetings, there's no reason they couldn't have it downstairs if somebody else is upstairs. It's not like they get,
A lot of people.
right.
Last time I was it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've been to many where I was the only one there from the public. So,
Right.
I don't have a problem with it.
And then we'll just have to explain to Kathy, I can show her the process of, unlocking doors and,
Right.
locking windows and all that stuff.
Yep.
So,
In case one of us is not here, right?
Right.
I feel that, one of us is here, we'll do it, but
Right.
if she doesn't, she's the backup.
So you'll email them back and say yes? Yep. Is that consensus, everybody?
Absolutely.
It
Okay.
is.
This got bent, but I think it will be okay. This is the letter that the selectmen asked to be sent to the planning board, requesting that Dennis delay issuing a driveway permit until such time as the selectmen have had a chance to make inquiries into the...
Right. I thought I had brought that letter
The one from the...
that I
the
sent to
planning board, yeah.
Oh, yeah, here it is.
Is that the planning
Oh, I
board letter
did,
to
yeah, I
the-
did send it. I did send it to the board,
Yes.
so,
You emailed it
yeah.
to the
So we
DOT
just need to make a
commissioner?
motion to sign this.
To my knowledge, we haven't heard anything back from them yet.
Well, this is separate from that.
Yeah, that's just going to the board to reassure them that
Yep.
we've asked them to do that until we get things worked out.
All right, so this is, Dear Deanna and members of the Planning Board, the Tilton Board of Selectmen have reviewed the above-referenced application, plans in files correspondence. We are concerned by the comments in a letter to the Planning Board dated March 15th, 2011, from the New Hampshire DOT Bureau of Railroads that would require the town of Tilton to share in the cost of improvements to the railroad crossing required by the state because of this proposed development. Until such time as the selectmen have been able to investigate whether or not New Hampshire DOT can mandate such expenses to the town, we have instructed Dennis Allen, the Director of Public Works, should have an S, right, to delay the issuance of a driveway permit for MB Tractor on Manville Road until this matter has been resolved. We have scheduled a meeting with legal representatives at the New Hampshire Local Government Center, and we will keep you apprised of our findings. So I make a motion, we sign this.
Second.
And you did meet with...
Yes, we did meet with them.
Because you already met with...
And they recommended that that I send the letter that we sent, and which we did.
Okay.
I'm in favor of that. You didn't call for the vote, but I'm in favor.
Aye.
The next item is I had contacted 3 local electricians and asked them to come in and look at the town clerk's office and give me an estimate, because I need 3 estimates to install a ceiling fan, and all 3 have been in. I didn't put a deadline on when I needed the estimate because it isn't a formal bid, but all 3 have been in, and so far I received 1. I haven't opened it, and I'll hold on to it until the other 2 come in.
Okay.
How long are we going to wait for the other 2?
Alice was in yesterday, and Airworks was in this afternoon. So I told them in my phone calls and my email that I would like to have it in time for tonight's selectmen's meeting, but I didn't demand that. So
What is that from?
What are you opening it for?
Curiosity, huh?
Killed the
Oh,
cat.
I just want to see her face.
You know what she was going to do for an April Fool's joke on me and
What?
Tim? She was going to call at like 2 in the morning to say that there was an emergency down at the town hall.
Be there in 20 minutes.
Be there in 20 minutes.
And then you were going to be there to wish her an April Fool's?
No, I was going to wait 20 minutes and then say April Fool's.
Oh, I would have been, yeah. Ha, ha. That's a good one.
They have text messaging.
That's right.
No emotions behind text messaging, just text message.
All right, this is the...
I was afraid of what would be played on me.
Yes.
The payback, you know.
This is the contract from Upcountry Builders that was awarded to do the town hall repairs. The amount is correct. I'd asked him to give me a certificate of insurance. He told me what the payment terms were, so I can go ahead and issue the check, and he wants to meet and talk about a schedule. So one thing I need to, because next time I see him, which will be soon, before that, I just have to kind of look at the calendar and see what we have planned here.
Well, we do know we're not going to have a meeting the 21st here.
Right.
So, but
Yeah,
it
but-
is a huge undertaking because all of this has to go somewhere. Unless they put it all one way and then do
Yeah.
this and then all this way and do that.
Are they
I
going
think
to
that
redo
crazy.
the entire floor? Is that what it is? That's part of this?
They sand and refinish the entire floor, but this part gets replaced.
Replaced, yeah.
Well, the other thing is, we can just, whenever he's going to do that, if he's going to work on that, because chances are he's going to want to be at the town meeting too.
Right, well, what I'm saying is Friday on, if we said he wants to do that, I believe, on a weekend.
Right.
When nobody's here.
Right.
The bulk of the work, the moving portion of it we can do, but the moving portion can be done on a Friday and then perhaps Saturday and Sunday doing the work, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Well, a lot of this stuff we could probably set up on the stage to get it out of the way, or if he's just going to do half and then get that finished and then do the other half. That would probably be the easiest way to do it.
I don't think we're going to get all of this up on the stage.
Oh, I know, especially like her...
Joanna's office is not going to fit on the stage.
No,
This is a tough one to move.
yes,
Is
so...
This is all one piece, isn't it?
Yep.
Two.
Yeah, but it must be connected because there's only one leg in the
Right.
middle there, so you can separate it, but
How soon are you going to be using those bins for the Grange? Because, certain things that like the selectmen use, and, I'd like to bundle all that up, and,
Depends on the bid for the Grange. The other theory behind the Grange is the things that are in the cases, we can just put
Cover
the
'em up.
top over it and not use,
Right.
put them in, but the bulk of the stuff you'll see tomorrow in the kitchen needs to be packed up, but doesn't need to have plastic bins.
Right, a lot of that we can just haul back into the shed. We took it out of there so they could put the floor in.
We could just need crates. Right?
Yeah.
because, the bids are due on the 18th, and you wouldn't be awarding it until the following week, or possibly the week after, right?
And work's not going to go until May, June. I would say June, probably starting on it.
So when we get close to that, I mean, I don't mind going through, because there's a lot of things that we could kind of tidy up and figure out, find a, actually, instead of moving stuff twice, if we see something, let's put it where it's supposed to go.
But I mean, it would seem to me like it would be a lot easier if we do half the floor, and then when that's done, we'll move everything back over there, because otherwise, where's all this stuff going to go? And I don't know. Just don't know.
We'll get somebody to levitate it while they're working.
Just don't hang
Hold
around.
this while we're,
Hold this.
Okay.
So at least I can get the check, first down payment check processed, and then we'll finalize what dates we want to use
Sit over here.
with him. Now, like Al's office and the hallway and all that, and we do get so much traffic through there.
Well, now, Al's office in land use, don't they
Vote
just...
to authorize the chairman to sign this?
Oh, I'll
Because that's the
authorize
selectmen's policy.
the chairman sign for the board.
I'll second.
Aye.
Because I checked it for the amount and everything. And I'll make sure we have, I think we still have his certificate of insurance on file, but I'll make sure that it's still.
now, so we'll have to meet with Tom and see come up with a game plan and what exactly he wants to do. The stuff downstairs wouldn't be really in its way, that it's negligible in the planning office.
Yeah, just replace the
But
tiles.
the hallway and the bathroom.
Hallway and the
painting,
bathroom
he's
is gonna be-
pull up that hallway rug.
He could perhaps do that on a weekend.
I tried contacting, and I keep getting their corporate office, and the woman that I talked to can't put me back in the loop.
Whom
so-
are you trying to contact?
Terminex. So I said, okay, so what I'm going to do is, I do have a fax number for the gentleman. She couldn't tell me the gentleman's name, so I was going to fax a letter to,
She's been holding out on you.
That's the only one I have, so.
okay.
I just found that the other day.
Yeah, I kept looping to the corporate office, and we tried everything, zip code, address, phone number, and,
Howdy?
look at this, email. All right. I had some conflicting notes from our last meeting, trying to figure out when you wanted Dennis to come in. So I wanted to clarify that.
And Dennis was coming in for what?
To meet with the board for his
Oh, his...
street sweeping
Yes,
bids,
we
and
made
also to
that.
talk about the garbage.
Oh,
We were gonna
wait
do
a minute,
that
the street,
tomorrow.
wait a minute, the street sweeping bid, didn't we vote already on that to use in January for the sole, January last year, we voted to use Mr. Rabbit as the sole vendor.
He has other,
He has other people. Is that who he wants to use?
I mean, that's who he's going to...
Well, I thought that's what, but he doesn't need to, because last year we need to make a motion on this first.
Okay.
Just thought in case
All
if
right.
you needed Guy here.
Yeah, we do need Guy here, so let's just break for 1 second, Joyce, okay, if you wouldn't mind. This is, yep.
Yeah.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, so the rest of the selectmen are aware that we've revised the agreement between Nickerson and the town of Tilton for the water revision, so, is that the same one?
It is.
Yeah.
About the same.
Go ahead, read that. And kind of basically what it says is that we will be picking up, we'll share in cost of the water, and then the Nickerson Park will pick up the engineering fees, and then, let's say, some rare chance that it's $700,000 instead of $650, Mr. Nickerson is going to pick up the difference in that. And that's what this
Hey, I want to
contract-
get water up there myself.
That's what this contract says, so that it will not be more than $325,000 to the town of Tilton. And so that dispels the rumor of, oh, well, once you get there, it may be more and more and more. It dispels that. So I make a motion that we sign the agreement for a cost-sharing and betterment agreement between Nickerson Business Park and the town of Tilton.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And thank you very much for your help with this project.
Yeah, no, we're just trying to, get it done finally,
It's to everybody's benefit.
once and all, and now when we just limit the cost, I mean, we don't think the cost is going to go any higher, so
I don't think it will either.
limit it, and then there's no argument.
Exactly. And Guy's going away, so we needed to do this tonight.
Yes.
Someplace warm, I try.
Someplace warm, yeah. Surprise birthday for my mom.
Oh, yay.
Are you going to Africa?
The Caribbean.
Oh,
Must,
Oh, that
I'm
will be a
jealous.
surprise then, right?
Do you have a blue?
Yeah, she doesn't know where
I
it's
move that Nickerson
outstanding.
Assembly pay half the cost for the selectmen to go to the Caribbean to sign this document.
I didn't sign one. I need one to sign. That's why I reached out to you.
Where am I witnessing each signature? Okay. Just one spot? Yep.
Do you want this notarized?
Given, well, it's up
Is there
to
a
you.
notary here? Yeah. That's always asked.
There's a notary. Catherine,
Catherine
Okay.
or either one of them.
notarize it for us so that they can make copies.
Okay, sorry to interrupt you guys.
And I'll
Not a
be-
problem. Thank you, and have fun.
Will do, thank you.
Say hi to Casey for us.
Bring back
Get to see
some,
him.
You're not going to see him?
No,
Oh,
strictly
okay.
mom.
Just strictly mom, okay.
just bring back some sunshine.
Yeah, please, man.
75, I heard on Monday.
Yay.
Thank you. Hey,
All right.
come back with a vengeance, all right? All right.
Okay, see you guys.
Take care.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, aside from that bid, Dennis wanted to talk with the board. He will give you an update on the meeting that we had with Northfield on the Cannon Bridge, and also to tell you about when he rode behind the garbage truck
Okay.
on the litter. So it's more than one thing.
Didn't
All right.
we, I don't have my calendar with me, but didn't we set that up for Friday?
I have
The 15th.
Friday the 15th.
Yes.
I have Dennis bids at 11, but then I have another thing drawn saying 4 o'clock on 4/14.
We have 11 a.m. On the 15th for
Yeah.
Dennis.
Okay, so what's 4 o'clock on 4/14?
Lauren?
Begin at 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock on 4/14 is,
For Lauren, and then,
right.
Yeah.
that's what that is.
Okay, so the 15th is Dennis at 11
11 a.m.,
So you think about an hour?
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I'm showing Dennis question mark.
yep.
Okay, and then on the 14th, we have our public hearing, and I think it was 4:30 we were meeting with Lauren and
Cropsey.
Cropsey?
Yep.
at 4:30, but you're going to start at 4?
There was a question about, wait a minute.
Yeah, we confirmed the time.
I know, but that's when we said either or the 15th or 4 o'clock on Thursday, and I don't think 4 o'clock on Thursday would give us enough time to open the bids and go over what on the Cannon Bridge and so on and so forth.
Right.
I think we're better off meeting on the 15th for an hour if we limit it only to the Cannon Bridge and the bids.
And Dennis.
And
Are you gonna-
Dennis.
And the garbage,
Oh, okay.
just to let you know what he found.
So it would be to meet with Dennis Allen
On the, at
on
11
the
o'clock.
11 a.m.
Yeah.
So we can just, on the agenda, put down Public Works items, Cannon Bridge, Best Way, and
RFP.
the bids, RFPs.
And also, if you can remember to bring the NRRA
Yep.
reports, because he'll explain those to you.
Yep, it's in my bag over here.
So Catherine, on the 15th at 11 a.m. on the agenda, it's only going to be Public Works, Dennis Allen, RFPs,
Cambridge.
Cannon Bridge in Best Way. All right.
This is, I had emailed everyone the response from the town moderator. Do you want to talk about
Yeah.
that now?
I didn't make a copy of it, but
His
yes.
explanation, and then these are my only copies of what his original budget was
Yeah.
and what had been originally submitted.
Did you, I noticed he said something about that they had, he was told they were paid in the past. You were going to check.
I have not had doing it. And when I mentioned that to him a couple of times, and he insisted that they had been because he had been paid himself.
Wow.
But he was paid as an assistant moderator, not as ballot counter.
I said that to him.
Right. And there is a big difference.
Yes.
I don't have an issue with an assistant moderator having been paid at town meeting, being like an assistant moderator. Senator Sanders was an assistant moderator during the
Right.
time town meeting. I don't have an issue with that at all. What I have an issue with is that those people that were asked to count ballots and count the standing votes and so on and so forth, that to my knowledge, nobody has ever been paid to do that.
No.
Nor has it been put into a budget to do that. So the original amount that he asked for was
This year. Oh, yeah.
$84, correct? And now he moved it down to $72
Yeah, and then on the other one, the other moderator, he made a change there.
to,
It was 147. Did he change that one?
to 140.
Yeah. And he put in the correct dates.
And what was the capacity, the other moderator, the assistant moderator that he had, has Tuesday time built into that. And that's the difficulty in deciding on that one. But I don't personally have an issue with the Tuesday time as assistant moderator because he was there all day working at the polls, doing that work. That is very different from counting standing votes. So,
But I think he did put in there that he had asked those people to be there and to be available to work.
right. He
Well, I
did.
don't-
I mean, because he asked them ahead of time. I understand his issue. I don't,
Also, he didn't know what the turnout was going to be. He was anticipating a large turnout, plus with being his first meeting,
He was anticipating a large turnout?
large turnout.
Well, I suppose because of the PD, but
I don't understand. What does he expect this one? And how are we going to pay for this one?
Right.
He mentions in his cover letter that he hadn't budgeted for it. He had not budgeted.
well, who knew?
Right. Well, I just know in years past, many years, Joe and I went to town meeting, and Joe would be asked to count, standing counts as far as the people voting, and those saying for yes and those for no, and he never, ever received a
Oh,
check.
if I was asked to do that, I wouldn't even expect it.
Right.
I'm just there counting, that's it.
And even with counting the ballots ahead of time, I noticed he had that built in.
Oh, that one, it had to do with when they had to certify the number of ballots.
Right.
That Center did, that they're required to do.
But they've never been paid for
But
that.
I've been part of that.
They've never been paid for that.
Can, look and see.
Go look and see, because
Yeah,
my understanding is they have never been paid for that day.
right. All right,
Do
and
that.
years, I can't remember how many years I sat there and, Cindy asked me if I would help, and I would help her. And Ken would be there, and all he really did was sit there and oversee what everybody else was doing.
This I Watch Center, he was counting and reconciling, he was working.
But, I mean, we just did it. We didn't expect to get paid for it. It was just part of the, I don't know, call it
Did you
community
want to
service.
Send
or-
the communication to the moderator and...
I personally feel, as a selectman, it was not budgeted for, and I don't feel that an assistant moderator needs to be, it's never been done before.
So which ones are, can you circle the ones that...
I have a problem with the $72 one,
Okay.
and I have a problem with the portion of the $140 one.
Okay.
The portion I have a problem with is on March 12th, the time that was paid for counting ballots and standing votes. That's what I have a problem with.
The March 12th one.
Right. I do not have a problem with the March 8th date at all.
Now, what about the March 2nd date for counting certifying that the ballots we're starting with?
Well, I just didn't realize that they'd started paying for that. I was going to say, I guess I got cheated all those years.
Okay, so...
Well, we did it last year. We never got paid for it.
Right.
All right, well, we can void those 2 checks that you mentioned, but we need to know what to reissue the payment for. Board.
How does the board feel about it? I don't...
If the moderator contracted with these guys, doesn't he speak for the town? And if he does indeed, then we're compelled to pay, but we need to have a policy that those are unpaid positions. Because apparently it wasn't clear. Or he didn't find it clear, I think.
Problem is, when it's all anecdotal as to what the past practice is, and there's nothing written anywhere, then it's like,
No, they submit a budget.
you're unclear. Yeah, you submit a budget. It's town meeting, X amount of dollars.
No, their budget was very explicit.
But
Right.
I
You look at-
didn't see any of that.
Their budget was very explicit to count ballots, assistant town moderator, 2. Town elections, 2. And the amount, and it's very, very explicit to what he wanted.
But instead, we ended up with 3.
But yes, we did end up with one more than what was budgeted for, but the act of counting, if we had assistant moderator as in the role of Senator Sanders at town meeting on March 12th, I find that to be very justified. That was his assistant. But counting votes and raising your hand and counting how many raising your hands, I don't feel that is. But
Well, the other thing, I guess, is we send him a letter stating that it is our position that those people who are just helping him by counting raised hands at the meeting, we would not normally, and we don't consider that a position to be paid for, but because he had already made these arrangements, I mean, I don't know that it's necessarily right of us now to say, well, we don't really care what you told him, we're not going to let you pay him.
I kind of agree with that.
Yeah, it's not right if
But
he...
moving
But to let
forward,
him
we need
know.
to have we
Right.
need to let him know. Because I'll count hands.
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
I know people who would count hands, count hands, sure, you bet.
and then just say, but for in the future, we don't want this to happen
And
again.
for-
It's a voluntary
For
position.
counting hands, you can go get yourself a cup of coffee up in the back like everybody else can. I mean,
All right, so then the future,
You can't yourself.
people other than the
I know
assistant
people who
town
would.
moderator,
I know.
Right, and we're not arguing with that.
at the deliberative session of town meeting, will not be paid
It's a
count
volunteer,
ballots.
a civil volunteer
Not
job.
to count
It's not even about
hands.
ballots, but to do any vote counts, be paid
Yeah,
for counting votes,
Counting votes.
whether
Or-
hands, division, or
Right.
ballot.
That's always been a volunteer position, and I know many people that have done it that never got paid to do it. They just did it. They were at town meeting anyway, and their services were utilized.
So going forward.
Yeah,
Going forward, particularly with this one coming up, which is not budgeted for.
Now, what do we do about raising the money for that? Do we have that in
We'll
our
have to squeak
budget?
it out of a budget, somewhere out of some budget that we're going to underspend. And
Yeah.
that's where it will come out. Or if this budget is underspent, then it will come out.
But so on those others, because in this one, he said both of those individuals were there at his request, and both committed to be there for the full day to assist in counting standing votes and ballots for items with ballot votes.
I suspect that both of those individuals would be there for the whole day, for the whole vote.
No, I know
So,
the
but
one
they're
would have been
letting
there all
know
day
now.
long anyway, so, and he's never missed a meeting up till now, so.
So going forward from today, that
Right.
anybody
Somebody want to make that in the form of a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, I'll get that out to him. And then the other thing he said is, I did not budget for a special town meeting, and I do not believe that there are sufficient funds within this budget to cover the costs of my time and at least one assistant moderator. That shouldn't be that much. We can
So he already knows that he's not having, he's going to have to just have ballot counters from the grand audience.
volunteer.
Right, they're
Now-
just going to, and you mention that to him, say, well, the board understands that you need an assistant moderator, but they will not pay for people to stand up and count votes.
We'll have to find the money someplace.
Yes.
Now, do you,
Is he
just to
going-
recap, what's happening here is that the motion was to send a letter to the town moderator. We've made a policy that no ballot, no people that count ballots or standing votes or
Yeah.
divisions
That's all.
get paid during town meeting
Right.
time.
To be a voluntary position.
Right.
It's to be a voluntary position.
Like in years past, the way they did it was people from the audience did that. And if the people from the audience counted ballots, then the assistant moderator would stand there with them while they counted the ballots. And that was all there was to it, and it was all volunteer. The people who participated, other than the fact that they did it,
We have a motion. So this, we have a motion on the floor to make this a policy.
yep,
All those in favor?
Aye.
I,
Aye. And what do we do now with the payment of the two
Well,
checks?
I think we should go ahead and do it because he's already made arrangements, and apparently this was something he arranged on his own. It's unfortunate, if he had checked with us that we could have told him that, but, he could also say we didn't pick it up from his budget, that he had budgeted for it. So, and he apparently did. I'm not sure why I was not aware. I don't remember his budget. Maybe I just wasn't here when we went over it, I don't know.
I think you
Was it? I don't recall.
with the board.
Yeah. But anyway, regardless, he budgeted for it, and obviously he asked them to come, and we don't know what else he said to them, but he had already done that, so I personally feel that you should allow him to do it. I mean, he's already, he had made arrangements to do it, and then he just knows that in the future, that's strictly volunteer.
All right, so we're going to void 2 checks. I'll go ahead and mail out the rest, void those 2 and reissue for the amounts that...
Yeah, the new amounts that he's shown.
Okay. All right,
Just for the record, I'm in disagreement on that. Consensus says do it, but...
okay, I only have 2 more things.
Go ahead.
Yesterday, Catherine Wisner and I attended the local government center. They do an annual benefits administrator workshop, and we didn't go last year. It was the year before, I believe. So it was very timely that we went because they finally had some information about healthcare reform, and we got an update on that. But a couple of things and I'll make this information available at our staff meeting, and the best thing to do would be to go to the PD and set it up to explain this information unless you feel comfortable doing it. And same with Dennis. But there's a change to the CVS prescription drug program. They're making every effort possible to work with subscribers and their members and physicians to get as many people onto the mail-in program. I forget that one number that she used. Something was like $70,000 a month. Or more, depending upon the prescriptions, and that they have the CVS Caremark, their website has been tremendously updated, making it much more user-friendly. We're to encourage our subscribers to utilize the mail-in program and the website. So we've got to communicate that somehow to our individual. You're smiling, why?
I can't convince my wife to do it.
Oh, well, I'll call her.
Well, you know what I ran into, though, is I'm only on 1 prescription, and I was able to go generic instead of brand name. And what Caremark wants to mail this to me is more than what I'm paying at the drugstore for it. So why would I go that route? I get a 3-month supply, and, at a time, and it's almost $5 cheaper than if I let them mail it to me.
See, that's the problem with these mail order programs. Aside from having to wait for your prescriptions to be refilled, especially if you screw up and it's like, oh my God, I've only got 2 pills left and it's going to take me a week to get it. There's that issue. If you have to pay postage on top of it.
You don't.
There's no postage, but it's just that their cost is a little higher.
Yeah, if you're paying more, I mean...
Well, it depends on what the prescription is, because I checked on mine, because at
Yeah.
Hannaford, they offer a program.
Well, when I was working up, and it was before 3M, it was under, I think, Quinty, they changed at the time, the prescription program, if you were on a maintenance drug,
Right.
you could get a 3-month supply for the same cost
Right, that's
as
what
a
this is.
1-month supply at the drugstore. Then they changed it, so it was a 3-month supply was 3 times the amount. So there was absolutely no savings to me
This
to
doesn't
go that
exceed
route.
10, 20, or 45
Well, it's like,
for 3 months. Depending upon the prescription, you either pay $10 for 3 months, $25 for 3 months, I'm sorry, $20 for 3 months, or $45 for 3 months.
Yes, well, see, if that's less
Wherever you're-
expensive than going to the drugstore and
Right.
getting that level of prescription, that's one thing, but, for me, especially where my son was on a name brand drug, that, and there was no generic for this
Right.
drug
Right,
at
the
that
most you
time.
would pay for a name brand, if it's prescribed by your physician, is $45 for a 3-month supply.
right, well, and, I really feel if I had other drugs that I was taking, especially drugs that are brand name drugs, it's a good program. It's just that with this particular drug I'm on, it's cheap anyway.
Right.
And I get 3-month supply, just like they would send me 3-month supply, but it costs me a little bit more if I let them mail it to me. So for now, anyway, I mean, hopefully, I won't ever need drugs on a regular basis, but, if I do, I can see where it would be an excellent program. It's just for the one thing I do have to take, it just not worth my while.
For some people, it is advantageous, but you just have to plan for it. You can't just,
Well,
if you...
Set it up, they just do it automatically.
yeah,
It's all automatic.
Then it's a good thing. If you don't have to think about it, and at the end, when you're
Think about it.
dwindling down, you only got 2 pills left, they've already popped a refill in the mail.
Mail notifications and say, these are coming up. If you don't want it, click here. Otherwise, it's coming.
Yeah, well,
I know my son's on a cholesterol drug, and they're high enough to where he's taking advantage. He has a similar plan, and they just mail him his drugs, and it is a lot less costly than it would be to go to the drugstore.
well, even in the case of my son with his medication, and he's still, even though there is a generic brand
Right,
for epileptics, neurologists don't recommend generics because of
They may
there's
not be
too
as
much variation, and
yeah.
of course, our insurance
They
company
would never force
insisted,
a subscriber to go with a generic if
well,
if the subscriber doesn't want the generic, they can always ask their physician to prescribe.
yeah, well, then he's got to tell the insurance company why he's prescribing name
I don't
brand
know
over
about
generic. Otherwise, the insurance company won't cover the cost of the medication, period. So in this case, his doctor did prescribe the generic, and it didn't hold him. He had another seizure. And
Right.
as soon as that happened, she had evidence that he needed the name brand drug.
right.
Well, remember she used the example of the Lipitor?
Yes.
That's one of the brand name ones, and they just,
Well, they advertise on the radio all the time that there is no generic version of Lipitor. You're getting a
Right.
different statin drug altogether.
Right.
yep. The other thing was, they talked more about the Slice of Life program, which the big change there is when you do file your personal health assessment, that you had to do it by a certain date, by March 31st. Now you can file it throughout the year, and then you'd become eligible for the benefit within that quarter, each quarter of the year. But if each member, the subscriber and their spouse and dependents over 18, if they're on the plan, if they file the PSA, they get $75 each, and then that entitles them to receiving $300 worth of reimbursement for health-related activities.
Right.
And also, if you have a child, a dependent that's under 18, they also qualify for getting that $300 reimbursement. So I figured out for myself, for what I pay in my copay, my premium copay, that I almost make up for that in being able to utilize these health benefit programs in terms of reimbursement. So that's another thing that they want our employees to be made aware of. And then also, we discussed they have employee wellness grants, and I won't take up your time with it now because I'm still formulating it, but I'm going to be coming to the board with a recommendation to submit for a grant application from them to do a wellness program for all town employees, and we've batted around some ideas, but we can go over that another time. And then the other...
Fitness center downstairs.
Pardon me?
A fitness center downstairs.
No, we're going to encourage people to walk. Our employees to walk. They have a contest.
All right, we'll close the town hall every day at noon and
What's this gonna cost us?
It's outside of work.
All right.
It's outside of work hours. But anyway, and
Let's
then the
go.
final thing on the healthcare reform update. Things, the thing they wanted to impress upon us is that people don't understand is that the Healthcare Reform Act is law. It is law. Certain provisions of the law don't go into effect until 2014. So until such time as the U.S. Supreme Court rules, and it's not going to be at least until 2014, the law is in effect and we have to comply with the law. Right now, we're not affected at all because our plan, when we renewed in January, we renewed as a non-grandfathered plan. And we're also fortunate that our benefits already meet the criteria, the standards of the Healthcare Reform Act.
Right.
So we really should not see any changes or impact. They did ask us, though, we talked a lot about with the New Hampshire retirement system and the medical health care subsidy and how just what a state of flux that is in, that for our retirees, we really need to get in touch with all of our retirees to make sure that the information that they've given the New Hampshire retirement system is correct. Because if they are receiving the subsidy and they're not entitled to the subsidy, LGC goes after them to recoup that, but the bottom line is the town has to end up paying. So
The
there's
subsidy?
exposure there, the healthcare subsidy.
Oh, okay.
Right now, I believe we have 2 employees that are receiving that, retirees. And the other thing we need to do is to go through all of our employees, find out who is currently eligible for the healthcare subsidy, so that we keep track of that. So that's potential exposure. And other than that, if you need any more information about it, it was very worthwhile that we went.
What's our contact down there?
Our contact?
Yeah, is it
For
Sheila?
which? Oh, our representative
Yeah.
is Tammy
Oh, Tammy.
Croft. But anything involving with the Healthcare Reform Act, we would contact Richard Dwyer.
And this is some kind of EAP?
And that's the Slice of Life program.
Oh, this is a slice of life.
Yeah, and then also another presentation was on the Employee Assistance Program that LGC offers, which is wonderful. And I've got all the magnets and all that, because we really want to encourage people to use that program as well.
I was going to say, they're getting ready to have a half-a-day workshop down there that I'm signing up for on the Turning 65.
Just 2 other things. I have these, I didn't know if you were going to talk about this with the board tonight in non-public, or you just wanted to know that I finally have copies of all the documentation.
No, there's no need to, because we have, that's the, yeah, we're all set with that, yeah.
Is that on one
That's
of
the grievance.
right-to-know requests?
Nope.
No, that's a...
Grievance.
Okay.
Just 2 things. On the letter to the Northfield Selectmen about meeting with them, I've got about halfway through. So far, I can try and get this finished before tonight, but I just have, thank you for your letter regarding discussion topics for our meeting. First and foremost, we'd like to discuss and finalize our understanding for the joint maintenance of the island. Is that correct?
Yep.
That's the first thing.
Yep.
Previously, we had sent you copies of the Parks Commission rules for the use of the island, and you brought to our attention that there were slight discrepancies with Northfield's policy. We should make them consistent and formally adopt those changes so they can be posted on each town's website. Right? Is that one of the things you want to make? I mean, I think we should get that done.
Yeah, but if we, have you run this by the Parks Commission?
I have done nothing with the Parks Commission because the selectmen said they were doing this.
Yeah, we are, but it's like, well, I guess we could have separate rules.
We're doing it, but we're also doing it in conjunction with the Parks Commission.
Right.
What we're doing is we're the vehicle in which this is going to get resolved.
Right.
Once it's resolved, the Parks Commission is going to pick it up.
I can tell you right now, because I went to the Parks Commission last night, they are taking a kind of a laissez-faire attitude as far as the island goes. They're not looking at it too hard. If anybody books the island, they're not going to do the walkthroughs, because it's like, is it Northfield's rules? Is it their rules? What's the deal? So until this does get hammered out, and they are told by the selectmen to pick up the baton and run, they're kind of...
Now that spring has arrived, we've received a number of requests for the use of the island. The procedure needs to be finalized,
Right.
which outlines the responsibility for maintenance, mowing, lawn maintenance, tree work, placement of benches, tables, refuse containers, etc. Also, we need to determine what repairs, if any, need to be made to the gazebo or other fixtures. Will the maintenance be performed by each town's forces or through a maintenance contract? Question mark.
I don't think that we need to go into all of that detail in a letter of what we want to do. I think sufficient enough this is all what we're doing, is trying to get a letter to the selectmen to say, we'd like to talk about the island.
Yeah.
We would like to talk about Cannon Bridge.
We did that.
We did. Okay, and
The
that's...
response was that they want it to be more specific and to list specifically what they want to discuss.
if you put that down as specifics, then we're going to get through the first two things on that item, and we're going to be until August or September trying to hammer out the first two items. If you get that specific with them, that's what's going to happen. We're not even going to get beyond the second sentence.
Why I was doing this, because they had asked for a specific list of topics for discussion.
I know what they asked for,
And I
but
was trying
last
to
week,
narrow it, prioritize,
Why didn't
narrow it
they-
down to 4 items.
Well,
for
my
this
question, that kind of turns the whole question around. Why didn't they offer a specific list for discussion?
last week when we spoke as a board, we said we would turn around and say, these are the items that we wanted to talk about. Island, rules. We didn't need to go back, we didn't need to say gazebo, does it need to be repaired? Repaired, no.
We can touch
You
on
know,
that while we're together, but...
Right, I mean, we don't need to, in other words, island, rules, rentals, there, period. And doesn't, maintenance.
Responsibilities?
Yeah, but we don't have to go through that whole long thing that you just went through.
Say maintenance.
Like gazebo maintenance, does it need repairs, does it not need
That's the
repairs?
question that Dennis has. He wants to know.
I understand that, but what we're trying to do, Joyce, is to make an outline of what we want to discuss. Once we get there, all of what you've got there is what we will discuss. Your points that we're going to discuss are valid. We want to discuss those. But if you send that over to them, they're going to go one by one by one and say, this is too much for one night, no way. And they're going to schedule it out, and we're never going to get it resolved.
Or they want to form a committee.
Right now, all we want to do is get an understanding and an agreement between the two towns on the island. Are we going to continue renting it, or do they want to take over the job of renting it? Which rules didn't they like that the park commissioners have, and how did they want it changed? We can all agree now on the rules, and then, okay...
Move forward.
Now, how do you want to handle maintenance? Do you want us to contact you every time we're going to do something so that we can sit down, you can see the total bill?
But there were some general agreements that had already been made at the time when you met with them.
No.
No.
No, there were no general agreements.
This was a draft of on November 30th, the Northfield Tilton Select Board met to discuss the management of jointly owned and managed resources and decided as follows. And this was in their meeting minutes. The island is co-owned by Northfield and Tilton, is physically located in Northfield, and only entrance to the park is from Tilton. Number 2, any agreement that may have existed between the towns of Northfield and Tilton concerning maintenance of the island, park, Pines Community, and Hall Memorial Library is void. Moving forward, the towns of Northfield and Tilton will jointly...
We did not agree on that.
Well, this is a draft. He's saying...
We didn't, that's
even talk
their-
about it.
We didn't even talk about those things.
Yeah,
We had, that's their ideas, Joyce.
yeah, but
We
we
had
never
no-
even, we haven't discussed this with
They
them.
haven't even brought it forward to us.
Yeah,
Right, it's still draft. That they want to pick up from this, from your last conversation.
We don't want to pick up from there.
but the last conversation we had, I don't remember us talking about all this.
We didn't.
Yeah, but
The one time we met was when we had the bridge repairs. We sat here, we went over what needed to
No, you
happen.
went over there and met with them on November...
Yes,
We-
we did,
we-
but there was a lot of wheel spinning in that.
But we didn't talk
No
about,
real-
we had absolutely no, we talked about the shared resources, what they were.
Yeah,
We did not talk about what we would be doing with them.
Right.
We talked about what the shared resources
Yeah.
were.
Okay.
That's
like the
all we talked
Pines-
about. And then we took about 45 minutes on the Pines Community Center.
Right, but is it fair to say that moving forward, this is from November 30th, the towns of Northfield and Tilton will jointly manage operation and maintenance of the island park?
No,
That's not a fair statement.
no, I don't think it's a fair statement at all.
Okay.
Because that's basing it on the fact that all agreements prior to, which we do the maintenance now in the summer, and they do the maintenance over at the Hall Memorial Library, are void. That's what they're going on, and we don't agree to that either.
Yeah, we didn't say that.
Okay, the next one's the Northfield Highway.
Mr. Smith alluded to that in a conversation that I had with him.
Yeah, but we didn't say that. That's
the
Well, I
Northfield
had no
Highway
idea, and I didn't say anything.
And Tilton Public Works Director will work together to develop a list of what is needed to maintain Island Park and report on such to the respective boards. I know that Dennis has his list, but, what are you supposed to do with it?
But keep it for now. We need to at least get in the door to talk to the selectmen, and we can't get in the door to talk to the selectmen beyond Glenn Smith.
Okay.
Because he comes up with these cockamamie, stupid ideas.
We just want to
These are not the selectmen ideas. These are Glenn Smith's ideas.
have a piece of chocolate. You're getting too excited.
We've gone round and round and round for months now on this.
First issue of business when you sit down is that on November 30th, the Tilton and Northfield Tilton Select Boards met to discuss the management of jointly owned resources, i.e. the island. These were discussed, but it was never...
No, not i.e. the island. They had Winnipesaukee River Trail. Hello, we don't own it. Pines Community Center. Hello, we don't own
and
it.
this has taken
That
all
was
this
our
out.
discussion.
That was all we discussed.
That's all we discussed. We didn't discuss maintenance, we didn't discuss who's going to do what. There was very little discussion on rules, regulations, other than the fact that we got your rules and they don't agree with the rules that we have for our parks.
Right.
That's it.
All right, this is
And
the
then-
last one, make her go a little higher out of her chair. The police chiefs of Northfield and Tilton will work together to develop a plan for routine and special event patrol.
We don't agree with that.
Yeah.
Cannon Bridge is co-owned by Northfield. and
We do agree with that.
Yeah. And then all we said over there is when the Cannon Bridge came up, we said, look, Dennis and your Public Works Director have been taking care of that for all these years. Why don't you let them continue? That's all we said.
Okay.
And then the biggest thing we had conversations about is they were trying to get us to commit to go in on the Pines. And we explained to them that the Pines was a privately owned thing.
Then they subsequently found, looking through their own
Right.
records,
That they shouldn't be doing work
the
there.
Pines is supposed to be doing their own snow
Okay.
plowing, et cetera, et cetera.
Back to the island, because this is the
So-
most crucial thing right now.
All
because
we
she's
wanted
getting
to-
applications,
We're under a
we're getting
time frame
calls.
here,
So we'll
exactly.
just leave it with the island. We're
Just
gonna
the
discuss
island.
the
That's all
island.
we want to
Okay.
talk about right now.
Okay, and then what we can do to help you is, I know what Catherine needs to have answers to. I know what Dennis...
Outline
I
it.
should say the questions Dennis has and questions I have. We can give those to you, and then you tell us what you want us
No,
to do.
just outline it, Joyce. That's all we're asking you to do, is say, we would like to meet with you as a Board of Selectmen to talk about the island. Here are the items.
And just, all we have to do is
Maintenance.
maintenance, agreeing
rules.
on rules, and
And then we'll take it from there with your ideas, with Dennis's ideas, with Catherine's ideas. We'll bring that information with us. That's all we're asking you to do. And if Glenn Smith comes back, I will personally sit there on a Tuesday evening and wait for my voice to be heard.
I'll go with you.
I'm done.
Okay, and one last thing with this. I understand what you want.
okay?
Is that Arthur received a call from Wyman Gordon saying that there is a beaver eating one of the trees on the island, and if the beaver continues to eat it, when it falls over, it's going to hit their pump house.
Right.
Okay?
Arthur told me about this.
Right. So Arthur went over and looked at it. He came and told me, and I said, well, get in touch with Northfield, because they also own it, and have their guy go out and look at it. Come back, let me know that you did that, and I will bring that to the attention of the Northfield Selectmen.
Yeah, it
I'm
needs
bringing
to,
that to your attention.
it needs to come down. And he's going to look into trying to find a have-a-heart trap to relocate the beaver with, because it won't do any good just to cut down the wrong one tree. If we don't move the beaver, then he's just going to pick other trees to start chomping
And
on.
the only other thing I did was I spoke to Bob Hardy in passing, just alert him to the fact that we may have a beaver problem.
And who owns the beaver?
The beaver is a freeloader.
Yeah, but does he
I
live in
want to know
Tilton?
who owns the beaver and who's
Nobody.
placing the habitat trap.
I think that we're going to have to get in touch with Fish and Game, because I
Yes.
think those beavers are protected.
Yes, they are.
To just trap a beaver, there are special
You
licenses.
can't trap them,
and-
you'd have, that's what I
Talk
suggested,
about
is
the
just,
island, a little outline of that.
We'll relocate them.
yeah.
Somewhere.
Now, the final thing.
What, Northfield or the Beaver?
Now, this looks like a lot, but I just want, most of it's just for your own reading pleasure.
I'm pleased to read this.
This is where we are. Did you get a chance to
What
read
is-
this yet? I emailed it to you late in the
What
day.
What is it?
After our last meeting, Glenn had sent me an
Oh,
email
golly, I've got it right here.
to summarize what he felt
Summarize.
was the
It's a book.
dispute,
I've got it right here, Judith.
was the dispute.
Yes,
I told him, I said,
I read this already.
we're not disputing, we're just discussing.
Right.
He makes a mountain out of a molehill. Somebody should trap him.
Okay, well, anyway, I want you,
Environmental
before I
Services.
do anything else, this is, he asked for
I
mine.
am done with talking about Glenn Smith. Please, let's just move on for something else.
Well, Tuesday, we're having our meeting, and I'm proposing,
She needs to know what we want.
Put a muzzle on him.
okay, we'll just, briefly, what was the position that was put forth by Tilton, and the Tilton Northfield Fire District, in my opinion, agreed
Right.
with,
Seemed logical to me.
okay, the school district couldn't really take a position because Cheryl wasn't there, and the water district couldn't really take a position because Scott Davis wasn't there.
Okay.
But what we put forth was, and I wanted them to clearly understand that the Tilton Selectmen are not opposed to entering into a memorandum of understanding. One of the requirements is that it has got to be one fund.
Right.
You can't have two funds. And the second thing is that the reason that the Tilton Selectmen have withheld paying the surcharge on the gasoline is because it would be fiscally irresponsible for them to make such a payment without having a memorandum of understanding to replace the existing gentleman's agreement.
Right.
Because I want to diffuse this that, well, Tilton's not paying. Well, this is why.
Right. We're waiting for our
So we're going to
agreement.
do the memorandum of agreement. So I think we did a good job putting forth our arguments as to why it should be
Right.
one fund.
One fund, and I feel like for both communities, it should be held by the school
The
district.
school district. Now,
Right.
we haven't had a chance to speak to Cheryl from the school district because she's been out ill. She just returned
Okay.
to work today. But we are taking the position for the selectmen, told them I'm speaking for the selectmen, that the best way to do it would be to have the one fund and have the Winnisquam Regional School District handle that fund, collect the surcharge for both the gas and the diesel,
As they're doing already.
and just the diesel, not the gas.
Yeah, but
And these are the reasons why, which are all outlined, that I explained to him again. And this is how we could implement that.
Right.
We didn't get anywhere, so I said, let's meet with DRA, because Glenn's argument was, well, we can't do it because you can't have one jurisdiction collecting money. And I said, there is a way. I know there's a way, because the state legislature is encouraging
Right.
these types of cooperative agreements specifically for these types of projects. So I said, let's get Shelley, and I said, get Barbara Robinson, have her come to our meeting, and we can ask her all the questions, how we can make this work. I mean,
Right.
they need to help make this work. So that's kind of where the meeting ended, and then he called, sent another email, said he'd spoken with Shelley, and I in turn had spoken with Shelley.
was Shelley their representative?
Yes. And for the school district, and for the town of
Well,
Sandbridge.
she just covers basically this
Yeah.
part of the
I mean,
state.
she knows
yeah.
intimately what's going on.
Right.
So she called me and she said, geez, we're short-staffed, we can't get involved in disputes. I said, there's no dispute. We're getting
Right.
this as a dispute. We're working out a continuation of an issue that had started back
Right.
10, 12 years ago. And she says, well, we can't meet with you. She says, but I'll put together some thoughts and I'll email everybody. And I said, good, because before that, all the
communication was just being secondhand information. So what does she do? She sends back, she says, I spoke to Barbara Robinson, and the thing you want to do is do this memorandum of understanding with a 53A agreement, which is an intergovernmental agreement, and you can do, as long as you follow the statute, you can do whatever you want.
Right. Which
So-
means that we can have one fund.
You can have one fund, you can
And-
have the school district, as long as
Yeah.
you agree on it.
Yeah.
And the other thing I was pushing for is to make sure that all signature blocks, not this, Joe Jones for the water company,
Right.
that the agreement be signed by all of the elected officials.
Right.
Because the more people you have signing that, the more people you have invested in the project and are knowledgeable of the history
Right.
and where we're going forward on it. So I started by, so I communicated all this to Glenn because he had asked me to comment on his summary of that meeting, which I totally disagreed with.
Right.
So that's all I asked you to read on that. And then the second thing I did is I took 53A, and I've listed the advantages and disadvantages of going with each fund.
Right.
And started to put the information in the draft memorandum of understanding into
Right.
the format of a 53A agreement with the signature blocks. And that's what I would like to have the selectmen present at the next meeting on the 12th. So I thought I would have that all written tonight, but I'm about halfway through.
Okay.
My thoughts are, because I read it, my thoughts are that you should, and I've talked to you about this, you should present that
Right.
with us when we go
Okay.
Yeah.
over there in the 53A, and this is what your intentions are. Because you can allocate these funds, I mean, you're showing where they should be going and what they should be doing and so on and so forth, and you knew the answer months before this. You certainly can articulate this much clearer than any one of us can do that over there.
Didn't want to articulate it without the board, because it's the board's position.
No, I think that you can much better articulate it, anyone, because you know 53A,
And we'll be there to support you.
and we'll be there to support you. But the other thing is that there's this conflict with Glenn, and it's sort of like, hold on a minute, I don't want even to enter into this thought. I don't want to think about it. Don't even, and I think you have a way of moving forward and talking about that with that same entity. So I think that there's a great way to move forward into that.
Right, and also to have the other
You
jurisdictions
would be the vehicle.
understand
Right.
this. And the thing that really floored me, Joe, and tell me if you agree or not, how he just couldn't believe that we were concerned to make sure that no one was being
Quite
imposed
frankly, I
upon.
thought he was rude. His attitude was rude.
For me?
It's like the town of Northfield can look after itself. And
Yeah.
if we're okay with this, why aren't you okay with it?
Right.
That's almost a direct quote.
I'm getting, I apologize to the board, but I'm not opposed to what you're trying to do. I am opposed at the roadblocks that you continue to get. And so in order to get around those roadblocks, we have to create our own roadway. And I think that you're doing that very nicely. You're doing that very nicely. But, we all know what the roadblock is.
Right.
It's certainly not the Northfield Selectmen.
No, I mean, we have sat with them, and they're very cordial, and we've all, even when we raised issues that kind of heckled a few people, once we really got into discussing it, people
Right.
calmed down, and
I
we
think
really
it's a
talked about
case
it.
where the 8 of us, for the
Right.
most part, are of the same mind.
Right.
And not that we would do this to you, but I think that the 8 of us are much better off without the other one. Because This
Going to have
is
to deal
where,
with that guy in the short term, at least.
yeah,
I'm not sure exactly how that's done.
but I don't want to, this mailing back and forth, I get this strong feeling that when it goes and is presented to the selectmen, there's such a spin put in this way and that way
Well,
that,
that's exactly and that's why I get so volatile on this situation, because it takes a mountain and made out of a molehill because he thrives on words.
yeah.
He's very extremely literal person, and he thrives on words. And he makes that I'm going to justify my position one way or another, and so be it, that's good. But it's not good for us. I mean, we have a great rapport between you and I, and you and us, the board, and other communities. I mean, you have a great rapport with other communities.
Right.
But the only one that we seem to have difficulty is one person in one town, and not, and a lot of people say, well, Tilton versus Northville, it's not. Some
We don't
people,
want it to be.
it's words, and I think the more fuel you allow this person for the words, that you're feeding that fuel. And I think if you shorten, and I think maybe that's what I'm trying to say, is shorten it, outline it, then let us get in there with you, in conjunction with you, and you give your 53A, we give our island, and, our parks and our rules, and in conjunction with their rules, we'll make it happen.
Right.
We know we can make it happen. We've done it before,
Right.
and they're really great.
So just one other question then. So with just talking about the island, do you want me to see if you can get on their Tuesday Selectmen's meeting or the following Tuesday? I mean, sooner than...
I can't go this Tuesday, I've got a planning board meeting.
Okay. Next Tuesday?
Yeah, the
19th?
following Tuesday I could do it, but I can't do it
I've
this
got, parks, but,
Well, that would be appropriate.
yeah, but,
Talking about the island.
Why don't we bring Parks with us?
well, we're doing a special project, and we're not doing it here. It's sort of a
So what about the 26th?
work session more than anything else.
The other thing is, maybe they can come to our meeting.
Well, we had already offered to go to theirs, and that's what we're trying to get set up. but they won't.
Well, if
We
the
can't come
12th...
to the 14th, the 21st is our town meeting, so we're still
All
in the
right, wait a
same
minute.
boat.
What about if we ask them, the 12th is out, but what about, the 13th is budget.
13th is budget,
Yeah. 14th is
selectmen.
selectmen. How about
The
How about
18th.
Monday?
The 18th,
What about Monday?
Monday night?
Okay, I think your chances are going to be, if you want a meeting sooner than later, to stay with your original plan to go to their Tuesday night meeting,
No.
rather than trying to get them to change their
I
meeting.
think it's like those of us who
Well, I'm
can
not,
go.
I'm not going to ask them to change the
So
meeting.
the 19th, it's going to be, Catherine and Norm are going to be at
Both are
Parks.
Yeah.
I would prefer not to go with
Okay.
without either one of them.
Okay, so that would be the 26th.
When's the first wedding coming up?
Oh, we've already had that. When's the next booking?
The next one is May.
May.
Oh, May?
so-
Okay, so let's do the 26th. We'll hammer it out.
All right, and then we will just give you our list of little
Right.
questions, right,
Yep.
Catherine?
Whatever your
Well,
question.
yeah, and you'll be there with us,
Yeah.
Joyce, so that...
Right, and we'll
because we
go
wanna-
over.
Right. I mean, you're going to articulate them much clearer than,
Okay, so we'll shoot for the 26th, and we're just going to discuss the island.
certainly much
All right,
clearer than
and
me.
then the UST meeting is next Tuesday at 10 o'clock in the morning. Now, are you going to be there, Joe?
Oh, gosh, yes.
UST? Oh. UST.
Underground storage tank is next Tuesday
Yeah.
at 10 a.m. Do I have that written?
I know it's in my calendar. I saw it.
Okay. Is there anything,
So that's
up.
the 12th, I got it, 10 a.m.
is there anything in the to-be signed?
Yes, I have a question on,
I had a question, too.
I lost my
Is that
question.
UST meeting in Northfield?
Town hall.
They'll probably have it downstairs instead of upstairs.
Forget what my question was now.
Probably for
I
the
just,
best.
the only question I had is on this particular one, she says she needs to sign this PA 33 attached, bring in a copy of trust. Should we not sign this until she's done this? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what my question is.
Oh, property is in the trust, she qualifies.
Yeah.
But Lauren just wants to confirm, oh, she's got to sign this.
Well, I mean, she has
She
to
has to
fill
bring a
that
copy
out,
of the
and she's
trust.
got to bring copies of her trust.
So she's approved that she has to come and sign that form that has to be signed and bring a copy of the trust.
And bring a copy of the trust. Okay, so the board can sign this, but we won't release it.
Okay, all right. Just so I know that that's, because otherwise, it's not complete in itself.
It's okay
Okay.
to sign.
Joyce, on the right-to-know request for the landscaping in parks, how did that turn out? Did you return that information?
Yes, I did, and they came in and picked up, they asked for copies of specific bids, and they paid $1 per page, and they took the information, and I haven't heard from them since.
Okay. Okay, that's my question.
Well, I can ask that in non-public. Today is the, I was going to just ask if she had heard anything about one of those issues, but I'll save it for non-public.
Okay. Tim, did you want to come in and talk to us?
I would love to.
Well, I have some,
What's today?
we're all set with you. I have questions on these bills.
What's today, the 7th? 7th?
When that tree on the island comes down, we better save it. We're running out of paper here.
Well, I'm happy to make an appearance during April at your meeting. And I'd like to reorder these items on my report, starting with number 4, which you've already signed. That was just updating you as to this, the agreement, and Mr. Nickerson left with a copy, so we should be all set with that. The second thing I'd like to discuss is just the videos that we've been making and posting on the web. The audio is phenomenal once everything's plugged in and turned on, and I don't know if you've had a chance to view the March
I did.
31st meeting, but it's really incredible.
Just like being there.
Just like being there, yeah.
Actually,
Only
it's
better
than
because you can
LRPA.
stop it, right?
It's better than LRPA at a fraction of the cost. Who could access it? I don't know.
Except that the access is the problem.
It is.
Who's going to access it? Who has the capability of newer machine to access it?
I have had a couple of people tell me that they have accessed it, even people that I wasn't aware were aware of it, because we really haven't publicized it yet. We can get all sorts of analytical information based on the views for each movie, as well as the attention span, what percentage of people watched what, how many minutes, that sort of thing. So it's pretty interesting. But in any event, we're currently under a 30-day trial. It's $100 per month once that ends, and I think it makes sense to continue this if we're going to do any off of the web, because we really need a video hosting, and this is a video hosting service.
That unlimited amount?
No.
$400, or how many?
No, it's 50 movies that can be stored of any length and 40 gigs of bandwidth per month. So if 100 people were watching, 10 gig movies in size, then we'd probably hit the limit at some point. But more than likely, we're not going to hit that 40 gig bandwidth limit. Part of the process that I go through to post these to the web is to make it into a more compressed file size. And if you notice, if you were to look at the movie right off the camera it's very crisp and very clear, and you have great definition to be able to see, the detail in a shirt or
I just
such
want to
thing.
get rid of that fat guy sitting in my chair. Who the hell is he?
But
They have software that'll...
But in any event, the part of that process of reducing it is to preserve the audio, but reduce the resolution of the actual video image. So that, in effect, greatly shrinks the size of the movie. So therefore, even though normally would be a very big file size, we can shrink it down quite a bit. So I don't think in the near term we're going to run up against any sort of bandwidth limits. But I would like to have the board consider, and if you feel so inclined tonight, approve the ongoing expenditure of $100 a month or $99 a month for that, which I'll put on probably one of the credit cards for the
Where is
town.
it going to come, what budget's going to come out of?
That is already budgeted in the technology budget. That was in there. So, would the board like to take action on that tonight?
She's checking, verifying what you're saying.
Well, I've seen the movies, and like I say, they're much better quality than LRPA. It does give us an outlet for broadcasting our meetings. I feel I don't know if this is the ultimate answer, but it certainly is an answer in the shortest of terms.
Well, I think in the spirit of what the townspeople wanted, it's keeping the selectmen's minutes on the air. I'm hoping that a lot of our citizens get to watch them. All we can do is try this, and if we have enough people complain that they liked it better when it was on the other way, then, it'll come up again next year at town meeting. But in the spirit of what they originally wanted, we're making that effort to make it available to them.
If we continue with this, yeah.
Yeah. And so, I personally feel as long as we have the money in the budget to do it, that we should move forward.
Yeah, and it's a heck of a lot less expensive than what LRPA would have been had they
Yes.
voted it in.
Yes, it is.
It's like a fifth or a sixth, a seventh maybe of the total monies expended.
Our technology expense budget is already 62% used, and we're only in the first quarter.
That's because the majority of that is software licenses that are paid out at the beginning of the year for that year, such as tax collect assessing, the
Good
tax
answer.
cards on the web, MuniSmart, all that.
So those are the one-time payments.
What I don't want to have happen is that as people are sort of getting used to looking for these videos, that all of a sudden they're not going to be available or be there following the trial period. And we're not bumping up against it this week, but it's just if you're, as you have more committees recording more movies and making those available, it's a perfect vehicle to do so.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. How much of your time is this taking up in order to shrink this to where it works better?
It does take some time, but I'm able to let it run on another computer. Occasionally I have to rerun it if there's an error or failure, and then it's the time it takes to transmit it to the hosting company. So it's not a very fast process, but it's something that I can run while I'm doing other things. So it's a little more time consuming than what it was with Lakes Region, but I have greater control over it. So.
Yes, in my mind, that would be part of it, is if this is something that's interfering and you feel that you're not able to get done what you want to get done because you're having to fool with it, then, I question whether it's worthwhile.
No, I'll tell you what is more concerning to me is, doing it for 2 or 3 committees is not, terribly difficult, but for 10, that's going to be a challenge. I think that's going to take more time, and I may run up against issues where I've still got things processing, and I need to be doing another one, and so I'll have to see how that goes, but because that's really expanding it at a pretty large magnitude to go from the current budget, selectmen, and life safety to, all 10 committees.
I can understand that, and I know that some of them aren't filming yet. Not because that they're being defiant, but they just, what do you mean we got to do it? I don't know how to run the camera, this kind of thing.
I have an instruction sheet that I'll be hopefully spending some time with the recording secretaries for those committees and then other people as they come forward. But I would recommend moving on to the monthly fee.
No, I think it's worthwhile. We try it. We've got our next town meeting coming up. Once we'll see how the people feel about it. That's the way I look at it.
I move that we go forward with this.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
The next item I have is regarding the tax rate and fund balance. I've detailed for you, based upon the operating budget that was passed on March 12th, I've detailed for you what reduction that equates to based on our current equalized value for the town, and listed that in terms of cents as well as percentage reduction. So it is a considerable reduction in the local tax rate. This is just the town's portion that relates to. And in general, what I think might make sense, as I've thought about the debt and the upcoming meeting and the project for the police station, I have on the back of this sheet the debt schedule. And what I'm suggesting is the possible use of some fund balance, which is well within the selectmen's right at tax rate setting time, to use some of the unreserved fund balance to reduce the tax rate. And one of the purposes for that is to take out one-time spikes or other such things, and this may be a time which makes sense to do so. In the next to right-hand column, or the third from the right column, it shows what our projected debt payments would be. The first row being 2010, and then successive years going down. And that's factoring in not only the estimated bonds for the warrant Article 3, but also our existing debt and when Riverfront Park drops off, Silver Lake Road drops off, and that sort of thing. So the use of the fund balance in years 2012, 13, 14, and 15 takes some of the bite out of the higher debt. And the amount of the fund balance that I was suggesting to use is roughly what I would expect that we would see in proceeds of the sale of 179 East Main, were this warrant Article 3 to pass at town meeting. So in effect, up until the time when we have those proceeds available, the fund balance really affords us flexibility to be able to manage the tax rate a little bit during this time while we're making these transactions of not only the debt coming online, the Silver Lake Road debt dropping off, and then also the proceeds of the sale of the old PD. So it's something I'd like you to consider and think about. And the graphical representation there, the one shows what it would be without, the left-hand graph shows what it would be without any fund balance being used, and the right-hand chart shows with the fund balance being used. And again, it in the end, the fund balance would theoretically be the same, because as the old PD is sold, that money would be used to replenish the fund balance. So it's...
We have 4 years to sell it.
And we have time to sell it, right. So...
What would we have left in the fund balance account if we did that?
It's not on your, it's not on that sheet there. I really didn't want to announce that today, as I've been trying not to go through what exactly the tax rate impact is going to be. But it's going to be, we had a very healthy addition, similar to what we did in 2009. We had a healthy addition to our 2010 fund balance by just about the same amount of money, which puts us, as far as I know, at the largest fund balance the town has had that I'm aware of.
Are we at where DRA wants us to be?
We're beyond the minimum levels that they recommend. But this particular use of the fund balance, it really helps taxpayers absorb a project and sort of spread out the, any impact where one year they'd pay a lot of tax and the next year they'd pay less tax. So it helps the fund balance. The whole purpose of using it is to sort of even things out and lessen any severity of movement from year to year. So
I understand what you're talking about, and in theory, I don't have a problem with what you're saying. I just was, that thought had crossed my mind, as long as it's still not leaving us vulnerable.
It shouldn't. In fact, it shouldn't be any lower than our starting fund balance for 2010. So I think this along with the fact that the good fiscal management by the Board of Selectmen of the town over the last 3 or 4 years has, helped build this fund balance. And there has been a lot of focus and a lot of new agreements and consolidation and efficiencies that have been realized. And so I think it's a perfect use of that, and I think it's also, I'd like you to consider, just in terms of the tax rate itself, that may be a compelling argument for the legislative body on the 21st as well. Other than that, I did note item number 3, just in one of the processes, there was a right-to-know request. I forwarded that onto the board, and I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that. And I've included the March 2011 summary and detail expenditures, and I'll probably be sending out the revenues tomorrow. This does include the detail for the first quarter, listed on page toward the end, page 31 and 32. Shows the detail of general assistance.
Is this what they get?
They did not have that, and that was my error, as I noted in this item number 3. It requires doing a journal entry at the end of the month to bring over those expenditures and put it in the format.
This is exactly what should not be in there.
Why not?
There are specifics that are there, Stafford Oil, PSNH, Demulis's, AD&G prescriptions.
I had checked with our welfare director in terms of any...
There are names here that on the rent that
Oh,
should
yeah.
not be
Oh, I
there.
see that.
Yeah, those particular landlords, especially some of them that
They
they
need
only
to be
have
removed.
one
I,
apartment, it would be
Right.
not that far a stretch to tell who the individual receiving.
that's correct.
And then we
However,
would be in violation of the client.
However, Heather, our welfare director, had specifically told me which to exclude and to mark as vendor A, B, and so
See
forth.
that on page 32, right at the top, vendor A, vendor A.
Correct.
But the rest of them needn't be excluded? I
She
don't
said the other were,
That would be.
because they're multifamily,
Oh, I
and
see.
there's not a means to identify a specific individual receiving aid.
There's,
I have no way of knowing. I have to rely on her, her to tell me, because I'm not aware of the properties nor the situations. This hasn't gone anywhere aside from the Joyce, Catherine, and those at the table here. So if there's something you feel is incorrect, I'll be happy to review it and get a hold of Heather tomorrow. And
Well, would it be, I think, especially in the case of where these rents, and you've got a landlord's name down there, if you could just redact their name altogether and just show that rent was paid, even if you said vendor A, B, C, and D, I mean,
well, according
as far as the monies for oil or heating or PSNH or whatever, I mean, it would be darn near impossible to tell who. But I think once you start getting down to properties,
I would have no way of knowing. The only one that would know would be the welfare director.
well, what I'm
And-
saying is,
Yeah.
if it's a landlord, let's not mention any landlord's name, regardless of how many, if they got one apartment or 50 apartments.
Do we have issues with, 91A that way?
the issue is that the right to, two things are happening here. One is, I don't understand with this amount of information why somebody would make a right to know request even more information than what's here, number one. Number two is 165-2C and conjunction with 91A, you can, we are required to, under 91A, the right to give information, for instance, Stafford Oil, we paid $454, that's fine. If it clearly identifies the client, we are obligated by 165-2C
Privacy?
and 91A to protect that client's privacy. So therefore, nothing is given out. So we don't have any, if it identifies it. So if there's an apartment, a landlord that has one, a house that's one, and it's, at 179 East Main Street, you can't give that information out because that's identifiable to the client.
Right.
So
like
we
a
can't.
duplex where the owner.
Well, part of it is, I mean, if I picked up the phone and I called PSNH or any of these oil companies and said, the town of Tilton paid for heating oil for somebody, where'd it go? They're going to say, I can't tell you that. But, my neighbor happens to be a landlord. Hey, who got the rent money? Well, he may turn around and release that information.
But we did.
It's on him.
LGC,
Well, I think we need to make it more difficult for them to.
well, an attorney at LGC specifically noted that, just that example, that, say with a duplex, you would not identify the landlord
Right.
because that would unduly identify the person receiving aid if there's only one other apartment.
Right.
So,
I think until we further clarify what goes out and what doesn't go out, and I will get to the bottom of this with that, where it has landlord rent, I believe it's the consensus of the board, do you all agree? That the name should be removed?
Yeah,
And
the
just
land-
Till
have
such
rent.
time as we get a legal ruling on it.
Right.
Oh, then,
'Cause I want to be, on the up and up with the right to know, certainly.
Right.
But I
Correct.
don't want anybody to be unduly affected by people
Right.
got no right to know.
it's probably going to require our welfare director's input because,
Correct.
as I said,
I agree with you.
I have no knowledge as to whether
Right.
there's 1 or 20 apartments to
And
any
I
of these owners.
recognize that you have no knowledge, so it's up to the selectmen to work with the welfare director to get this, but for the time being,
Right.
that this gets redone in that
Well, what I'll
it's
need,
removed.
if the board would agree, what I'll need to do is create a new account number because there's no way to actually physically remove something once it's posted. So I will have to basically inactivate this account, and I'll set up a similar account that holds the general assistance welfare, within a number or two of this particular
Is it
account number.
possible to take, I'm assuming, and I may be wrong on my part, but I'm assuming that most of our vendors or the renters are pretty much the same. That doesn't vary that much.
There's a few new ones
Yeah.
lately. There's a few
But
new
if
ones.
we have a list and you just start out vendor A and go right through Z, and as new ones come in, you just, whatever is next on the alphabet that's available, you plug them in there. So that it would give you the opportunity, or maybe you don't need that. Does each voucher that comes in for rent, is it got its own number on it?
Most of them do now. There are still some coming in from 2010 before they were pre-numbered.
Yeah.
So those do not, but...
But I mean, to make it easier, if you needed to go to your master list to see who's who, that if you have vendor A through Z and you just
Right.
plug in,
In fact, if you look at, under the description or under the reference number, you'll see GAV and then a number, that stands for General Assistance Voucher. and then-
okay, so
and
then
the
that's the number.
And you'll notice that some of these numbers are quite far apart, and the reason for that is that, depending upon how many she hands out,
Right.
she only processes the one that meet the criteria and that come back to her and so on
Right.
and so forth, so... But in any event, I will, with the board's permission, I'll create a new account. I'll move over those things, and for the time being, I guess I'll wait to hear.
The other thing, is it necessary, if we have welfare general assistance, is it necessary to say, Public Service of New Hampshire to prevent, do we need to say to prevent disconnection? Do we need to let people know that? Do we need to say to prevent eviction?
Those come from the welfare director under the purpose.
Yeah, but do you have to plug
Do
it
you
in
have to
there?
put those in there?
Does it have to be printed in this report?
No, I would just not capture it, I suppose.
You always have the voucher to fall back on.
Correct.
You know, if you have, like, coming down here on the first one, if you just put vendor rent, period, or if, whatever, if you're going to, it's going to be vendor B, but, and then public service, and just leave it at that, public service. Supermarket.
I mean, in the case here, you're already referencing your GAV, so it isn't necessary to say,
that's-
like she said, to prevent disconnect.
That's fine with me. Generally speaking, we try to include as much as possible. None of these identify the client, the welfare
Right.
client, but it still provides taxpayers with the understanding of why would we pay. Now, I mean, some of these are obvious, such as public service, but sometimes we pay a supermarket for a prescription as opposed to food, or sometimes it's health or...
Well, the two that you're referencing here, which went to Rite Aid and Demoulas, are not, they don't reference a GAV. Was this some kind of an invoice that you received
No,
from?
because they were from 2010. This was before she had pre-numbered.
All right, I see. Okay, I can see what I can see what the first number is, 2010-07-21.
That's my attempt to assign something to it, and that's usually what I would do, is use the year, month, day.
Okay, well,
Why does one have a FAV? Oh, that looks like an error.
Where's that? It could, yes, that's just a typo. That I can probably correct that. So I'll be happy to do whatever you like. In the interim, I'll hold the expenditure detail. I'll provide the Budget Committee with the summary,
You know,
which
I don't
just
really-
shows account
Right.
and
It shows
totals.
the accounts and what went in it, but until we know concretely, because, I mean, I see something on here that I thought there was only one other apartment there, but maybe I'm wrong.
Again,
There's two.
Is there?
I specifically asked our welfare director.
Not hard to narrow down.
Yeah.
I asked the welfare director to tell me which landlords should not be identified.
well, I think if we don't identify any of them, then it's kind of a moot point that, you don't have to worry about
Oh, yeah.
who. You
I mean,
don't
it-
have to worry about that at some point, something got out because the wires between you and Heather got crossed and you didn't know, you weren't supposed to identify this particular landlord. If you don't identify any of them, then it's like, here's what it
And
is.
you're still giving your report, so it's not like, I mean, under 91A, anyone can look at this and see where the funds went. I mean, we're not trying to hide anything, we're just trying to protect people's privacy.
That's correct.
So,
So in any event, are you fine with my sending the summary report to the Budget Committee along, you'll see there's really
That's this
nothing
one
other
here?
than, it's the short one. It's really nothing than the budget, month-to-date, year-to-date expenditures. On page 6, you'll see the welfare general assistance line.
no, I don't have any problem with this.
So,
Everybody fine with that?
Yeah, my only question is, you show that you give them the expenditures monthly. I can't remember from when I was on the Budget Committee if we got a monthly report of revenues, because it's nice to know that there's money coming in that's offsetting this thing going out.
I may not have mentioned it, but I meant to say at the beginning of my statement about the expenditures that the revenue report will be following.
Oh, okay. You didn't, I don't think you did.
Okay,
say that.
I may not have, but I have to chase down the haulers. I don't have the haulers. So usually we get that in an email, so I have to check to see where that is, so that we're missing that for March.
Well, it would be good to hold this out for a couple of reasons. One is because those ballot clerk things are changing anyway, and you have the old figures in here.
They are posted, right,
And-
because the check was posted. Yeah.
So the new checks will have to be, he's corrected the amounts on a couple of them.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
So these have to be corrected. So it's good that you're holding this out anyway, so.
Okay.
um,
And,
And then we'll get to the bottom of it, because we do have, I don't see any reason at all, once I'm sorry, I really can't see beyond that when somebody's asking us under the right to know request.
they did not have that information with the February reports. As I mentioned, I neglected to make the journal entries to bring that over. So they didn't have that.
Did they have it on the
Not for
December?
Last year, they had something similar to this, not quite as detailed, but I don't believe that was satisfactory to one of the people,
Okay.
which I was told.
And then February, you didn't.
Right, which is when February's was the
March.
first report where, I'd gotten the budget loaded for the year after our town meeting, and then went through and did the other journal entries that we need to do each month. That was the only one I had missed, which was the bringing over the welfare.
Right.
Okay, so then what you're really saying is perhaps then, now that you've got this in here, that this would be satisfactory, the fact that the alarm was raised because it just wasn't there, period.
Right, there wasn't any expenditure associated with
Right.
it. And
Because the line item, it's really clear. The year, the date,
Right.
the source, the line item, it's coming out of line 920, welfare general assistance.
Right.
It's $254.72. It's the reference number, Rite Aid prescriptions. I don't know how much more information you want to know about that.
Right.
And names are going to be withheld, and we're going to stand fast on those names being withheld.
Legally, we cannot give them.
Right, that's correct.
Right.
Yep.
So anyway, other than that one little change, let's get the vendor's name out and just use,
We'll have to work with Heather on that.
yeah, we will. We'll sit down and we'll go over that with her when she comes in the next time so that,
So until then,
yeah, just take them out.
So, just so that you're,
everybody, that's a consensus, we'll hold off on the detail.
Till we can get a
Until we-
legal opinion here.
Well, we got a legal opinion, we're just going to work with Heather to remove it.
Okay,
Okay.
okay,
We
the
got
other,
two legal opinions, actually.
all right.
the last thing I want to leave you with is that we are 2% underspent from where we were actual this time last year, at 2010 to 2011, so we're 2% under this year versus where we were actual expenditures last year, as of the end of March.
Now tell us the revenue was 10% over where we were last.
And we are 12% under budget year-to-date, which is not necessarily a very good indicator, but we're on track to underspend the budget so far.
About revenues. No, you don't have revenues yet.
I won't have revenues because I've had a lot of extra assignments in the last week or two, so those will be tomorrow. I could give them to you tonight, but they would be short the hauler revenue, which we don't have, and all the other revenue is in there.
Next week's fine.
Don't go.
No, it'll probably be tomorrow because I just have to email them to see, why normally they've been emailing us, like right on the 1st or 2nd. We just haven't received anything yet. So,
Well,
okay.
Great.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your work with Mr. Nickerson,
Yes, thank you.
Yes,
Home Depot.
please.
Yeah.
I have a question for Brian, Lieutenant Martin.
Oh, now the seat heats up.
There he is, that's a good one.
No, not yet. Soon.
Okay, I have two questions. I have two bills here, two checks that Tim is, one is a windshield repair. Did we get something on the windshield being broken? Were we notified of that? That there was a windshield broken?
I'm not sure if the board was notified.
Which vehicle was it?
That was the 2010.
Oh, that's the 10A?
Yes.
Okay. How did it get broken?
There was a mount to the glass for the camera system.
Yeah.
It had fallen off, it had been remounted, but it was remounted upside down. So to try to reuse that mount to reglue it, someone tried to peel it off and it cracked the windshield.
Okay. Answers my question.
Is that covered by insurance?
The deductible is more than
What the window was. It's $214. Okay, next question is, we have jackets and screens. What are screens?
the silk screen for Tilton Police on the back.
Oh. So we get them named.
Yes.
Okay, so is this a spring jacket? Is this a,
This is a waterproof, all-season jacket, high visibility. It's actually more than waterproof. It's got what's called Cross-Tech in it. And Cross-Tech prevents bloodborne pathogens from seeping through, stuff like that. A lot of fire departments are using these type of coats. And we started to need new coats, and when we did, the chief really liked these, and the prices we were looking at were much more expensive than what we paid. They were severely discounted because I believe a fire department had ordered these and they screened the wrong name on them. So the vendor was holding all these coats and they weren't going to be sold. So what Blower did was to take them back, cut a new panel for the back, and when we wanted them, they screened them and patched them for us for a significant discount.
We wouldn't have been so lucky that the fire department, that they screened the name wrong and said Tilton PD on it, huh?
No, but they actually did screen them for free, so that was nice.
well, actually, it says $250.
That's to make the screen, probably, right?
Oh, the screen itself, probably, huh?
Could be.
Okay, so, all right. My concern is that we have now in our PD budget, if you look at our uniforms, if I can find it here, new uniforms, we're now going to be somewhere in the vicinity, well, 44% as of March. This will bring it up clearly over 60% of your budget for new uniforms are going to be spent. We're going to make it.
Do you think that this budget is not going to get, this line is not going to get overspent by December 31st, when it's only April 7th?
Because we had 3 new offices and...
Right.
Okay.
New officers. I mean, if we were going to outfit a whole nother officer with more than that, what, that the part-timers got, then I think we'd be really close, really close.
Okay.
How many sets of uniforms does an officer normally get, a full-time officer?
Full-time officer normally gets 3 pairs of pants, 3 short sleeve and 3 long sleeve, normally.
They don't always ask for them every year. They have a right to ask for them every year, but normally...
It's not an automatic thing.
No. They can, but they haven't.
And normally when you get a brand-new officer, usually you have to outfit them with new stuff.
Yeah, I understand that, because they don't have any.
Right.
So you got to start from scratch. Now, the part-timers, do they get the same number of uniforms, or are they getting like half as much?
We're getting about half as much, and we dug out some...
1.5 pairs of pants.
Used, right?
Yeah.
So they have a closet of
Okay,
an
well,
array of different stuff that they use and put together, and then whatever they need, then they fill in what they
right.
don't have.
Sometimes you just don't have any sizes that would fit the individual. So I can see that.
Okay, that was the answer to my questions. And we got other bids on the $2,000 worth of uniforms that we just paid.
Yes. I had gotten a phone bid from Rosen Uniform, who we bought the vest through, and I believe they came in at $349 per coat. And then online quotes from AAA Police Supply. and they were $365 per coat.
Wow, that isn't significant.
Yeah, and for a new coat, from the same vendor we got these coats from, were brand new without a new cut panel, they were selling for $375. So, it's overstock with the misprint we got for $200 a coat.
And it blocks out the pathogens and all that.
Pathogens, it's
And it's high
high
visibility.
visibility. It's
High visibility is yellow.
that neon yellow.
Yep.
It has reflective striping. And the black parts of the coat actually have a reflective coating on them. So the whole coat is reflective.
Does all of the patrol people have them now, or is it all of the officers
Not yet. We are issuing them as they come in.
come in? Okay.
Do they have coats currently?
Yes.
What happens to those coats?
Those coats, like my coat, when I was promoted, I still had stripes on them, so I couldn't take the stripes off, and you would see, so I had to get a new coat. If their coat is still in good condition, we kind of want to get a little more life out of them, unless they feel that it's a safety issue. But there are some that need replacement because they're just not.
Certainly. So they go into your closet that you were talking about earlier? Just curious.
That's it? Anybody else got any questions for Ryan? Great job on the bomb threat.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That was well done.
You apprehended that individual quickly, I understand.
Yes, we got our detectives over there to assist, and we got as much resources there as we could. And it developed really, really quickly.
And he is being prosecuted?
Yes, there will be a juvenile petition brought forward. Because we want to try to deter that from happening.
Yeah. That's not acceptable. Whatever the
What
court
else do we
decides to
have?
do is the court, of course, but we need to do our part.
Anything else that we have going on that,
The phone systems are back online. They are going to be back out there to remove the old broken line that's over there by Cumberland's.
who broke the line? Was it a truck?
It was a truck towing a backhoe, and the backhoe arm was not laid out. It was articulated all the way back,
Yeah.
and it just tore that line down.
Was this as he was just going, did he pull into Cumbies and happen to catch it, or as he was
No,
going
it
down
went
East Main
across
Street?
Main Street, didn't it?
Did it affect like that whole side of town, or just the
Yeah,
PD, or what?
It took out all our phone lines, but Tilton Auto Service still had phones, so I don't know how far up it went.
Yeah, and it didn't go up as far as there. But the cable, well, they bypassed it up there.
When did this happen? This is the first I'm hearing of this.
It looked pretty close to 1,000 pair cable in there.
1,800.
1,800?
Yeah, and they said that reel of cable would cost $130,000.
Right.
That's
So
an
that
old
trucker
ass,
is
if
going to
ever I
get
heard
built.
one.
That truck is going to get built, so that, I'm sure.
Plus all the overtime.
How was the response from Fairpoint?
They, once PSNH determined that it was just a phone line, not power lines, because we had it land on two cars. Fairpoint was out there rather quickly, and they ran crews all night, and we had to provide detail officers all night.
Yeah.
So they finished up at right around 4.
Yeah, I was surprised at the size of that cable.
Yeah.
They had it laying across the ground.
What does the PD do when the phones go out at the station?
It's rerouted to Belknap.
Yes, actually,
Sheriff's Office.
our 911, our secondary, it actually goes through Laconia PD, and then they forward it to Belknap County, who did dispatches for us.
I see, yeah, okay.
Except, the regular line, the 4442 number gets routed to anybody going in under the other number would not have been routed to Belknap.
Correct.
Right. So, that was well done,
Yeah.
very well done. I was impressed. I was impressed with the big sinkhole up on School
Oh,
Street.
yeah.
It was handled by both the towns in a very quick manner. Hopefully the state will take care of that.
It has been repaired.
But they only put plates down. It's only temporary repair.
I drove over it today, it's been repaired
The whole thing's been repaired?
to a Department of Transportation standard. But it has been repaired. There has,
Well, that's
they
not,
put pavement down and everything, so.
they put pavement, but it was my understanding they put pavement over the plates.
Over the plates?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that at a later date, they can dig it and repair it correctly.
It looks like they dug across the whole road.
Well, they put two sets of plates so that it didn't, you put the plate on this one, and all of a sudden the sinkhole is,
Yeah.
Okay, then,
they continued it to strengthen it.
And then paved over it. So it's, unless they came back,
they
it's
still had a-
temporary.
Yeah, they still had a shovel out there. Okay.
I think there's more work to be done up there. Yep. All right. Well, that's good. Okay. I think got any more questions for Lieutenant? Wow, you're getting out of this easy.
Just so we're all set for that Saturday, the 23rd?
Yes, I will
Okay,
work on that tomorrow.
good enough.
The yard sale thing, yeah.
No, that's an event that the Parks is doing, which I'll talk about under my report.
Oh, yeah, the Easter egg, I got it.
We're having a non-public later? No?
Jeez, we got enough of these stickers all over the place.
They use them, yeah. We're
Well,
all done.
Excellent, thank you.
Thanks,
we didn't
appreciate
bruise
you.
too badly, did we?
Yeah.
Can I
First
ask a
night.
question, Pat?
Yeah.
I'm not a lieutenant, but
Yep,
Thank you.
thanks, Brian.
we're writing a check to Belknap Landscape Company for over $2,000. What exactly does that pay for?
That's the bid
That
for the
is-
parks.
That is the first payment on the
On
bid,
the-
which I was going to also talk about. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on your toes.
Well, that doesn't explain it to me. They haven't done anything yet, have they?
No, but they have to, some require a deposit,
Okay, all right.
a portion of the bid,
Yep.
like the work that we did for the RFP for Upcountry for up here, they require $5,000 off of that.
That totally makes sense.
Right. Okay, we all know that there was a bomb threat was discovered written on the wall of one of the boys' restrooms. The school resource officer was notified, and Tilton Police Department was contacted. Students were evacuated to the gym, and a thorough search of the building was conducted by authorities. In the process, the student admitted to writing to the threat and indicated to us that there was no safety threat to the school. The authorities cleared us to return to the classrooms to remain in lockdown while the state police canine unit conducted their search of the building. This threat was taken seriously, and the school took immediate and appropriate action. Everyone followed our safety protocols for evacuation and lockdown, and the process ran smoothly. I am satisfied that the search was thorough and that there is no safety threat at the middle school. We have a life safety committee, April 4th, public hearing, April 14th at 6:30 PM during the Selectmen's meeting. We have a request for bids for the Tilton Senior Center, April 4th, and there will be a mandatory pre-bid site walk on Wednesday, April 13th, 2011, at 8 a.m. at 11 Grange Road. The
13th?
the 13th, 2011, at 8 a.m. Bids must be submitted in a sealed envelope addressed to the Tilton Board of Selectmen and delivered to the Selectmen's office on 257 Main Street no later than 4 p.m. on Thursday, April 28th. NRRA's Diamond Jubilee Recycling Conference Expo in Manchester. You two, anyone interested down there? U.S. Census Bureau will be in the area from June 1st. We'll be conducting the 2010 census count resolution program between June 1st, 2011 and June 1st, 2013. No hurry. They'll be in Tilton. If we have any questions. The town, where's Joyce?
She's downstairs making copies of the grants for the town.
This, the town of Miltonboro has sale of surplus property. But did we ever, here she comes. I know those steps. Joyce? The town of Miltonboro's sale of surplus property, did we ever show this to Dennis to see if he was interested in any of it?
No, but it was printed in the Echo.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, but, no.
You would have seen it? Well, one thing caught my eye here, and that was the,
No, you can't have a motorcycle.
We're not supposed to be buying things.
a Line Laser 200 HS line painting machine. There's two of them.
How much do they want for it?
Doesn't say.
Oh, I was going to say, those are great pieces of equipment for parking lots and everything else.
Why is Miltonboro selling all that stuff?
Maybe they're getting rid of their roads.
Well, I'd like the 1984 imp boat with the Mercruiser 265-liter engine in it.
Now you're cooking.
Full canvas enclosure and Shorelander tandem axle roller trailer with it. Wow.
The bid on it?
Yes. Is seeking sealed bids for the sale and removal of surplus property. All bids must be received by 2 p.m. on April 21st, 2011. In the office of the Select Board, 6 Holland Street. I would,
Dennis's box.
make them a copy and see what, there's other pieces, there's other things in here.
Oh, Joyce, did you want this for your Rolodex card? It was here.
Oh, sure.
Okay. Her information's on the back, and
So do you think they're going to shut down the government? I think they will.
yeah.
Okay, Fire Commissioners meeting April 4th at 6 p.m.
That's
That's gone by. That's
Did
gone
they
by.
lose their space at Tilton School, or?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have, that's it for the FYI. Union, okay. Sandy, do you have anything for us?
Yes. As you know, we went to LGC because of a situation that we have coming up in the planning board, and I did send all of you the letters, so I won't go into great detail about that. You read the letter. I also attended a Winnipesaukee River Trail meeting this week. We had it at the library on Tuesday. We're in the planning stages for our next fundraiser, which will be October the 13th, I believe. Joyce, isn't it October 13th? Yes. So anyway, we started a little bit earlier this year so that we're not rushing around like maniacs at the end. And other than that, I think I'll pass to somebody else.
Norm?
Okay, first, Energy Committee, Denise and I attended Clean Air, Cool Planets Energy Conference on Saturday at Merrimack Valley High School. We split up and attended different sessions, so we were able to get some good information. I'm in the process of playing telephone tag right now with Bob Hoy, the other member who I'm not sure if he's been sworn in yet, but he did, the selectmen did appoint him to the committee, and I haven't had an opportunity yet, but I plan to do it in the next week to contact the other people that have signed up or that Denise got their names while at town meeting. Now, the Parks Commission met last night, and they did sign the bid or the contract with Belknap Landscaping, ergo the $2,000, and that was the down payment, so to speak. And that calls for mowing, brush cutting, fertilizing, etc. at the parks. Yes. And I can tell you, mowing at all the parks, brush cutting twice a year at Riverfront, fertilizing Riverfront, fertilizing the ball field, pesticide application if requested, raking at all the parks in the fall, bark mulch at Riverfront and Vest Pocket and the island, and the trees along Main Street.
They've already done the trees, didn't they? I saw some guys out there trimming trees last week.
Yeah,
Actually, we were standing
Well,
together.
if they did that, they did it in advance of this contract being signed.
Somebody did it, and I didn't happen to notice who it
well
was.
done. Yeah.
Joe and I were down there when they were doing it.
Yeah, watching them.
Also weeding
Yeah, kind of.
at Riverfront, Vest Pocket, Civil War, the island. But, you know, there's a notice because of contractual agreement between the two towns, this section may not be awarded, but that was, and that's pretty much the scope of the work that they're going to be doing.
They're doing the mowing at Riverfront?
Yes. The other thing is that they are planning events, and the first one coming up is the Celebrate Earth Day and Easter with an egg hunt, and that will be on April 23rd at Riverfront Park. It's open to all children ages 3 to 14, and the rain date will be April 30th. And they've got it broken up by age group because, you know, 3 to 6, 7 to 10, and 11 to 14. And that is what I talked to Ryan about, you know, making sure that we have police coverage for that, for safety of people that may be crossing the street, etc. The other thing they're planning is a Let's Go Fishing event, and this is in conjunction with the, I think it's Fishing Game. And it's open for up to, I believe, 30 children. They have to get a minimum of 10, but
Where is that?
it will be at Riverfront Park and in one of the fishing pavilions there. And then an ongoing thing is a photo contest open to all members, or all Tilton residents, and you have to take photos of parks, or in the parks. So
Is there a prize associated with it?
there are prizes. The grand prize is $50, and then there will be categories, and I'm not sure what the categories are. Oh, categories are animals in the park, children enjoying the park, Riverfront Park, 132 Ball Field, Buffalo Park, Civil War Park, West Pocket Park, and Island Park. And in each of those categories, first place will get $15 and second place will get $10. And, oh, Pat? This is for you. I picked that up at the energy conference. That's a water bottle, or it was.
So you have your
I
water
picked up
bottle
some
thing?
pens that have been, they are recycled water bottles.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. That it?
That's it for me.
The only thing that I have is LRPA. I have actually seen a piece of paper that says we're paid through March 31st, which everybody was aware of anyway.
Yep.
Their mistake was that everybody's contract runs through the end of June, but we didn't pay like that.
Right.
And as a consequence, well, as you know, we're done on the 31st of March. I have been assured by the station manager that if we send them a town meeting, they will run it. I told her that at such time as I go to a board hearing, which is the 26th of this month, or a board meeting, and hear the board vote that there would be no charge to the town of Tilton, that at that time we could discuss it as the Board of Selectmen to send it or not send it, according to how, what the consensus is at that time. Do we go there or whatever? There would be no charge for it if it did indeed become reality. That way that people could find out exactly why there was no more Tilton stuff on LRPA. And that's the only thing that I have.
Pat? I thought for sure that you were going to take at least 20 minutes. Now that I have a chocolate in my mouth, it's my turn to talk. I knew it. Well, I have a couple of things. One is that I met with Ginny Snyder of Community Action, Winnipesaukee Transit System. She is the Director of Transportation Services. She is also one that is coordinating the Winnipesaukee Transit Advisory Committee meeting, which will be held here at Town Hall on April 20th from 10 to 11:30 upstairs, it's like second floor. This was in response to the Winnipesaukee grant for the state funding for 2012, and they posted it in the paper, and remember, Tilton was the only one that we responded and said, yeah, we'd like to take a look at it. So I have all of the funding request for 2011, 2012, 2013, and it's going to be a huge subject on April 20th for match funding and other sorts of things. So that's in the works, community action. We're getting a lot more calls in chat. I think the outside agencies, that a lot of them are now seeing the pains of the state funding being cut, or anticipation of the funding being cut. People are now starting to call. And Ginny told us about the program, Joe, that you mentioned a couple weeks ago about the rider program, that we would be able, the volunteer rider that would be able to get paid to drive the volunteers to their appointments and so on. So that would be a great advantage, because now people would at least pay for their gas to and from.
In regard to that, I actually spoke with Tom Gallant, and he's going to come with me tentatively to the next Mid-State Coordinating Council where Ginny goes and Pam Jolivet
Yeah.
and all those guys in order to find out what the criteria was. There's certain criteria that they, are they insured? Do they have valid licenses?
Right.
It's not serious stuff necessarily, but so he can find out and present what chat's about at the same time, so.
Right. And the other thing, one more thing on chat. The chat, each year, they have, the governor has asked for nominations for the recipient of the Edward Vaughn Award. And it's for people that have dedicated, devoted a service to seniors and elderly in different ways. And they pick one person from each county from the nominations. And last year, my uncle was one of the recipients from Atkinson, and he had started, he started the senior center 44 years ago, their senior center. So this year, after much talking about at the chat committee, we all felt that after, 30-some-odd years of Tom Gallant and the work that he's done with the seniors on his own and with the Tilton Northfield Samberton Christmas Fund, and making sure that seniors are taken care of, and the work that he did way before the chat committee was developed. We got together and asked Heather Thibodeau to write the nomination for us. And yesterday we found out that he is the recipient for the Belknap County.
Does he know that?
Yes, he does. He didn't quite understand it. Congratulations, Tom.
You almost threw the letter away.
Well, I think
Thought it
that's
was
just
kind of
wonderful.
junk mail,
He
but-
deserves it.
Yes,
He does, and then it's a pretty prestigious award, and the governor has you down and with your family and presents it, and you have an opportunity to have a photo with him, and he sincerely appreciates the work that you do with the seniors, and it's a great opportunity because when I went down there to see my uncle get this award, I linked up with 3 or 4 different people, and I'm still in contact with them, with newsletters that have resources that I had no idea about in the state. It's invaluable information for us. So anyway, we do have our finest right here in Tilton that's now the recipient of the Edward Vaughn. So as we get more information on a date and time, and we'll make sure that we're updated. Life safety. It's going really hot and heavy, as you know. We're meeting sometimes twice a week. The Budget Committee has made a written request for right-to-know information. And we sent them what they wanted. They're kind of vague in their request, so we offered if they wanted to meet with us to go over the information we had, they could. And so yesterday at 4 o'clock, they met with myself, and Sandy was here, and Catherine was here, and a few members of the Budget Committee, and they went through my 2 years of life safety committee and copied a lot of things from it, projections and numbers and contracts, agreements, things to back up what we have on our pamphlet. So having said that, we have a presentation, a small presentation at this meeting that's coming up. And 2 meetings ago, Guy had attended, and that's when we talked about having the town, what happens in a situation if it comes up to be $750,000, and then what happens. because that has been a question with townspeople for a long time. It came up at the public hearings, and it came up at the town meeting. And that's why Guy very nicely said, we will take care of it. And at that point, we offered to redo the agreement into a contract that both the selectmen and he would sign, so it's a little bit more official and more binding. The other thing that we've been working on is the access road from the parking lot to Home Depot. We have email agreements and we have verbal agreements, and we're going after a more formal written agreement to allow emergency egress access only, gated. It would be gated on town property. And Tim drew up the agreement. They had council look at it, and right now it's at their council. It's going to be sent back to us, signed. Hopefully the selectmen will have council look at it and sign it, and hopefully that will all be done before the 14th of next week, so that's happening as well. So we have that. I didn't look at the Echo today, but I understand that there's an advertisement in the Echo about supporting local
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
police or whatever. Nobody's seen it, okay.
Is it signed?
It doesn't have to be signed in the the advertisement portion of it.
I haven't seen it.
Was paid by a Tilton resident. And there's a few more residents that have come forth that want to do advertising, and so they met with the life safety, and we took our name off of anything and everything that's going out, so that even though they can say that we recommend this project, as far as having a positive effect or a negative effect to any mailings that go out, we didn't want to have that perception. So, although we're 150% behind the project, but there's mailings going out next week in papers and things like that, so. We do have another request, which, I don't know if we should, this right-to-know request doesn't have to be in non-public, correct?
No.
Okay.
The most recent one today?
Yep. With the nature of what we're going to talk about, does it need to be in non-public?
No.
Okay.
Because you're not using names.
The public will leave if you want.
No, we're on camera, that's the issue, not you. We have a right to know request, and the right to know request was just it began with just a phone call and asked a couple of questions, and the questions were answered, and then came back and said, I'm not sure. I talked to Heather and Pat to make sure we were in compliance. Yesterday, when the request came in via the phone to Tim, the request quoted RSA 165:A 2:C. And that was it. And so we looked it up, and there's one sentence. Do we want to find that?
What was it, 165?
165:2, paragraph C. I have it printed out somewhere.
Did you see the email tag thing from that?
I got it. It's under Public Safety and Welfare. It says, notwithstanding any other provision of law to the contrary, no town, city, or county official shall publish or disclose or allow to be published or disclosed in the annual report of the town, city, or county, or in any other document or letter, except as it is necessary for and connected with the administration of this chapter, the name, address, or any other identifying information of any recipient who is receiving assistance or aid, provided, however, that any taxpayer shall be allowed to see the itemized account of such aid furnished. Any person violating any provision of this shall be guilty of a violation. And we were told yesterday that we were in violation of Chapter 165:2C. So myself, Catherine Dawson, Sandra Plessner, and Tim Pearson talked with LGC, and we talked with Paul Sanderson, and we got a clarification on this article, on this RSA. And the RSA, we are well within our rights to withhold names, vendors, if in fact they identify the client. If it were a large complex that had 50 apartments, then we could say Joe Schmo rent, and that wouldn't be an issue because you could not identify the client. If it were just one person and it led to the identification of a client, we have every right under RSA 165(2)(c) and 91A to withhold that information. And there's case law to support that.
You mean a right or an obligation?
I think it's an obligation because it just says right here.
Right.
No town, city, or county shall publish or disclose or allow to be published or disclosed in the annual report of the town or in any other document or letter except as is necessary for and connected with the administration of this chapter, the name, address, or any other identifying information. Well, if you know that,
Joe
Schmo has one apartment
Let's
and
pick a
that Mary
different
Smith...
Schmo. Bob Schmo, let's call him.
All right, Bob.
Bob Schnob. and Mary Smith lives in his apartment, it's like, well, we know who's getting
Right.
the assistance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's identifiable to the client. However, the vendors, because the initial request wanted to know all the names of all the vendors. And then we said, no, we can't do that. But the vendor, Rite Aid, if they don't have a prescription number next to them, and they can't be traced to the particular person,
Just a generic outlet.
it's just a generic, or Irving Oil and its fuel, well, that's one thing. PSNH, electric, that's one thing. That's a vendor, PSNH.
Right.
So Franklin Savings Bank, vendor, that wouldn't be an issue, and that's never been an issue. The issue that this person is having is that we withhold names of the vendors that are getting rental assistance for clients, and we have to do that. That's
Well, I was
So
gonna say,
again, that person came back and said, well, then it's wrong. I want all the 1099s for everyone. And
Can we issue
no,
those?
no. So
There's too much information on them.
at that point, Joyce and Tim went in and spoke with LGC again, and, I have gone back as well. There's way too much information on the 1099, Social Security and all that
Oh,
as
yeah,
well.
definitely.
Even as social security number of the landlord, so to
Right,
speak, and
exactly.
that's privileged information for the landlord.
Exactly. So we have to come up with a way to, I'm not sure what, there's a couple of things in the general conversation about this. One of the remarks were they want the minutes where the vote was taken to keep this information from the Budget Committee.
Yeah, I saw that.
But
never
The
was.
information was never, there was no vote, there was no information kept from the Budget Committee. What happened, and Joe, you're new on this one, what happened back in, Joyce, was it fall? September? Around budget season, just before budget season.
Right.
I remember the meeting was downstairs.
Right.
It had to be when it was...
We had an issue about HIPAA, a HIPAA violation.
That one, okay.
And in talking about that, a HIPAA violation, we noticed a few things that we were doing in town, just in town hall, with our health insurance. We grouped together departments so that they wouldn't be identifiable on which insurance that they would have, because there are some departments in town hall that have one person working for them. So we grouped it together. And also in doing that, at the same time, we had an issue with having folders, manifests with welfare, and having it on the desk, the file cabinet. And Heather wanted to come up with a new system, so she was in direct contact with LGC, worked up a protocol of what would be within the legal rights to do and whatnot. So we came up with the system. Once they talked about what we could do, then Heather came, talked with us and Tim and Catherine and Joyce, and we came up with a system on how, and you notice that we have an envelope that says confidential manifest. That's our welfare manifest. And you notice the vouchers, when they come, they're stamped, so we don't see the names.
We don't even know the names.
Right, so we don't see the names.
Names are redacted.
That was not so that the Budget Committee doesn't get the information. That was to protect the client
Right.
from their...
165, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
I mean, even the selectmen are not privileged enough to know who the names are.
We are bound by, in essence, we are the welfare
Yes,
administrators. We are bound by confidentiality, but still, we didn't want that to be an issue. And so we came up with a better system that was in there. So that's a little history. I don't know how we're going to answer this, because I'm not sure that this person is really going to be happy. But if you look at what Tim passed out to us tonight, with vendor A rent, Rite Aid prescriptions, Demoulas's food, Franklin Savings Bank mortgage, that I would think that would be, it's a date, it's the line item it's being taken out of, it's everything there that we need to do our job as Budget Committee and do our job as selectmen. Those are the figures that we need. I don't know of anybody else that needs more. I don't know what purpose anybody else would do with that information.
Who oversees the welfare office?
We do.
Who actually oversees it?
Heather Thibodeau.
Heather does, as far as all the information that's in that office is restricted.
She's the only one that knows it.
She's the only
Right.
one.
Right.
So we have to trust that what she's doing is the
Right.
right thing.
But
Right.
you have to understand, I mean, I know you're new to this, but Heather has rules and regulations this thick that she has to follow, and they do audit her. They come in and they
Okay,
look.
then she does have an oversight.
There's a very stringent criteria
That
for
was
her
my question.
for them to meet in order for them to get assistance.
Right.
I mean, I remember I don't know how many years ago, where the budget for welfare was way,
100,000 plus.
100,000 plus, and now we're in,
50.
in a 50,000 range, and she goes below that each year. Knock on wood, let's just think about this.
After some downshifting, maybe not, but
But, I mean, she's done a very good job of it, and so in keeping that, not everybody gets it.
Right.
And we get complaints because they don't get it. And we get complaints because she's doing her job and doing it right. But when you look at the manifest, the year-to-date expenditures that the Budget Committee get, and then the digest form of it, is more than enough information. And I don't want to withhold anything from the Budget Committee. I want to be as transparent as possible, give them what they need to do their job.
As long as they understand that she's audited and can't just run off and start writing
we
checks, they should be
certainly,
okay.
This is above and beyond. I cannot possibly give this information out.
we certainly did not take a vote to specifically block the Budget Committee from getting any information, but we can only disclose information that the
Right.
law allows us to.
Well,
Right.
I'd like to say, too, that it is my hope that when the call was first made, as Tim explained to us, he had not made these entries yet. He was a little behind, and that's not a big deal. But they were not there, and they were not part of the report that the Budget Committee got, and therefore he called to, well, where are these numbers? Now, Tim did explain to him that he just hadn't moved them over yet, that he still had to do that. And, the person got upset at the fact. I am hopeful that once he sees the report, that he will be all right with it. I mean, it's not like we're trying to hide anything. There's nothing fishy going on. It's just that he hadn't completed his journal entries yet. So I'm hopeful that once that, Tim is able to share this with him, that he'll be all right with it. If not, I mean, we are bound by what the laws say, and as far as some of the things he's asking for there, we can't do it, so.
Yeah, I think what he's trying to hang his hat on is the statement that says, provided, however, that any taxpayer shall be allowed to see the itemized account of such aid furnished.
Okay, that is an itemized account, but it does not have.
But you can
Client's
see the
name.
dollars and cents of it, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it does give the.
And that's exactly
the
what Paul Sanderson said.
Yeah.
He said, that's a line, you can misconstrue that line, but the true intent of that line is for giving them as much information as they need without identifying that client.
Right. So you can say that you paid rent assistance in the tune of $750.
Right.
But you don't have to say who the landlord is, because that may tend to identify who the recipient of the aid is.
Well, if the landlord has fewer, not that many
Yeah, but
units, then it would be very easy.
What I said earlier to Tim still goes. I don't think we should identify the landlord's period, because somebody could be friendly with the landlord and say,
Yes,
well,
but
who's getting their
you're
rent
not-
paid by the town?
You can't really do that. According to the information we got from the attorney, if the landlord has enough units to where it is, if it's one unit, one client, then no, you cannot. But if he has multiple units, then you cannot withhold his name.
Well, didn't we just vote to redact all of the
Just until we had a chance to
Just until
sit
we had a
down
chance
with Heather
in the...
and go over the
I see.
vendors'
I see.
names,
Right.
so that we know for a
Right.
fact, these are multiple units, these are not. That's all.
And at that time, any right-to-know requests would be totally fulfilled, I would imagine, at least to the
Well-
legal standard that
He will
is
certainly
appropriate.
get a breakdown, but, we'll have to sit down with Heather to go over the list of...
You would get vendor A, just like it is in the budget book.
Yeah, where it's
Vendor A.
appropriate, that's what he would get.
Right.
Vendor B, $300 or $50,
I don't care where the money
whatever.
went so much. If I, as a taxpayer, it's like, I just want to see the expenditures, not necessarily
I'm not as
exactly where it goes.
interested in as to who the money went to, but how much money went.
Well, when you deliberately ask for 1099s, that contain a lot of information, I mean, by the time we got through with the 1099s, there wouldn't hardly be anything left on it.
Yeah.
Because we don't need vendors suing us either, because personal information was given out.
Well, the other side of it, too, is when you look at some people that own their home, that are coming and asking for assistance, that the other side of that is a lot of people don't realize that if they own their own home and they come for assistance, then, we place a lien.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand that. What they see is, oh, this one's getting their mortgage paid, and this one's wow, it's 2 months' mortgage, and they don't understand.
If they wanted to do their homework, they could go to the Registry of Deeds and see what liens were placed by the town of Tilton. Then maybe
Really wanted to
infer
get
some
crazy about it,
information
yeah.
that it's like, you can't, I don't care that much to see who. I'm more interested in how much. Where's our welfare budget at right now?
Right. Well, for whatever his reason, I mean, this person is doing this, and it's too bad. I'm hopeful that once he does see the breakdown that goes into the books, that he'll be satisfied.
So that being said, we do not have non-pub for the PD. That's been squared away. We don't need that, so.
Can I just add one more
Sure.
thing?
That's enough, no.
I forgot to mention, with the Winnipesaukee River Trail, we have also this year rented Riverfront Place again.
Nice.
Jim Cropsey was kind enough to let us rent that large room again, so I think everyone that was there last year thoroughly enjoyed themselves, and I'm sure, and I hope that they will this year as well. And that's it. I quit.
Does that mean you're coming after me for another cutting board?
Yes.
Have a dog to give
You were going to donate your dog? Who, Arthur?
Arthur.
We'll raffle off a couple of dogs, because
Yeah.
they didn't win the photo contest. We're extremely disappointed.
Oh my gosh, you people are horrible. It's either produce or you're gone.
Hi.
Oh, no, they produce. No.
No, not reproduce.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
This will cost you a few extra pieces of
Let
chocolate.
me tell you something. I wanted to bring this
Hey,
up.
you're on tape.
Okay.
Hang on.
Let me tell you something